asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, from the moment we pick up the phone, you will hear the difference. We are passionate about what we do. To us, you're not just another applicant. When you call on us, you are trusting that we have your best interest at heart, and we do. We treat our customers like family, and that's why our customers turn into family, coming back to us time and time again. We know you have many options when it comes to mortgage financing, and we appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. We are excited to hear from you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our passion is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-368, Equal Housing Lender.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the Thursday edition of Joey Clark Live. I'm here as Joey Clark. Byron Sheehy here in the studio with me today. How you doing today, sir?
Joey, I'm fighting like the third monkey trying to get on the art with all my stuff over here, man. Can't get situated, but I'm here.
It's sometimes days are like that. It's like, where am I even at? What am I even doing with all of this? Now, I believe, because it's been a few weeks, but I see a line 1 lit up, and I'm guessing this is Erica Thomas, editor-at-large there at 1819news.com. Am I right? Is this Erica?
Yes. How you doing, Joey?
Good. How are you? Happy New Year.
I'm back.
Found her.
Good to hear from you. So, number one, like, just how the holidays treat you? How are things going in life?
It was great. I got to go home and spend time with my family. They all live about 6 hours away, so I don't get to see them all the time. So I really enjoyed that quality time with my parents and my grandparents. I turned 40 while I was on the little break.
Happy birthday.
And for my 40th birthday, I was baptized just to rededicate my life for the next 40 years to God. So it was just a really peaceful, tranquil time, and now it's back to reality.
Oh, beautiful. Wait, you're only going to live to 80?
Well, when I'm 80, I'll get baptized again.
Okay.
And I will be on Joey Clark's News, probably a live shot by then from some type of satellite, probably Elon Musk satellite that brings in a real-time live shot. So, yeah, I look forward to that.
Now, one story that you recently put out, we actually interviewed here on the show alongside Andrew Sorrell, State Auditor Sorrell, Candace Brown. And I know you had an opportunity to get in touch with her and talk about this issue. For folks who don't know it, the headline is Breastfeeding Mom Forced to Report for Jury Duty in Jefferson County, says staff was rude, facilities filthy. What do you make of this story? Let's give it out to the audience from your perspective.
Yeah, this was a really interesting story, and I spoke with Candace Brown for a while because she was just kind of shocked that this was an issue that she would have to face. But in December, she got a summons saying that she would have to report for jury duty in January. So Monday, she went to go report for jury duty. And they told her before, well, let me back up a minute.
All right.
She has done this before while she was breastfeeding, and her baby is a exclusive breastfeeding baby. She won't take a bottle.
Okay.
So that's the only way she can eat. It's the only way she can survive. So I needed to preface that first. And a couple of years ago, she had another baby that was the same way. And all she had to do was call and tell them, and they said, oh, don't worry about it then. Well, in this case, they did not, in Jefferson County, they did not allow her to skip out on jury duty. They said, you still have to report, you still have to come in. Well, her account of what happened after that is just horrific. She said the people in the courthouse were super rude to her, which I can tell you, I've been in that courthouse a lot, and I got the same treatment. People have looked at me, and they're in disgust, just like, I don't even know why. They just must have a terrible morale. You know, the people that work there, they must, and you never know what somebody's going through, and I always say that to myself, but after you go in there time and time again, you think, you know, people that are being paid by the taxpayers should probably treat the taxpayers a little bit nicer. I mean, they're just not nice in there. There will be a couple of really nice people that work there, and then, you know, but for the most part, I've had the same experience. And she said that, and I said, well, I'm not shocked. Well, so they still wouldn't let her off of jury duty. She had to sit there for 3 hours until she was finally let go. But during that 3 hours, she had to feed her baby, and they gave her a room to go in. And she said when she first got in there, she saw like dried up milk on the couch, and there was no changing table, nothing for a baby. And if you scroll down in the story, you can see a photo that she took while she was in there, and it's of a whiteboard. And another mother that had been in there wrote on the whiteboard, not being excused from your duty for exclusively pumping is ridiculous. Every mom in Alabama. And then it said, also, this room is disgusting, needs to be cleaned. And so, you know, she wasn't the first person to ever experience this. So what did she do? She posted it on Facebook. That's what we do, right? Like, if something bad happens, we're going to go post on Facebook and tell everybody.
Post it on the Book of
like
Faces. Oh, yeah.
It's just a way to, like, get it out there and be like, you hear me? And so that's what she did. And, guys, this post blew up on Facebook. I mean, like, instantly had hundreds of shares and likes and all that stuff. And then one of the people that learned about it was State Auditor Andrew Sorrell. He used to be a state representative. And in 2001, he actually introduced a bill that he was trying to get it to where, you know, any breastfeeding mom would be exempt from jury duty just automatically. And so at that time, the lawmakers told him they didn't have time for that when it wasn't a big deal because they had never heard of anybody with such a problem. Well, you know, I always say sometimes just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not true.
Right.
You know? That's kind of what happened here, it appears. I've never asked anybody about this situation. It's never crossed my mind. I've never thought about it. But, I mean, there are just, according to the comments on that Facebook post, there have been a lot of women in Alabama that have had to deal with this.
Oh, yeah, and Candace told me yesterday that this, I've still got the whiteboard pulled up on the stream, folks, if you want to see the photo she took of the whiteboard in that filthy room, that had, the mother who wrote that reached out to Candace Brown and said that was a year ago. So that room hadn't been checked. That was up on the whiteboard for a year. And it's not just the particular situation, which it is more than one, of nursing mothers, breastfeeding mothers, but it's also women who don't have the means of childcare. Like they really don't have a way to get away from their kids because of certain circumstances. So we're talking about dozens and dozens and dozens of women who have comparable stories here. So this is an issue that should be addressed.
Definitely. You know, I'm thankful that women even have the right to go serve jury duty. I think it's a wonderful thing. I would love to do it myself. I've never even been called. I don't know if that's by design or not, but I would just be honored to do such a thing. And so there's a lot of people like that out there. You know, just take that name off the list. They're unable to do this. This is something that definitely needs to be addressed. And State Representative Susan
Dubose.
Susan Dubose is the one that's going to try to introduce this and get that changed. So that'll be just a really great bill to look for this upcoming session just around the corner.
And Andrew Sorrell informed me yesterday, I think April Weaver on the Senate side is also joining in, teaming up with this. So I think it's going to get done. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it is to these women who went through this. And it shouldn't happen again. This seems ridiculous, especially the threats of we're going to sick DHR on you. That's just...
Yeah, that was awful. I mean, again, I'm not surprised. It's Jefferson County. I lived there for a long time. I got out of there for a reason. I mean, I got out of there so fast. I wasn't planning on moving as far away as I did, but I am thankful that I did that. But yeah, down here in Mobile and Baldwin counties, things are just seem to be so much more. I guess it's because it's smaller too. Like in Baldwin County, things are just handled better. When I go to the courthouse here, I don't hardly stay in line very long at all. And it just seems like the operations of the courthouse just run so much smoother. So I'm thankful.
Now, again, folks, we're talking to Erica Thomas, editor-at-large at 1819news.com. A story out of your neck of the woods, but I think it's something everybody in the state should know. The headline is, "All of this stupidity, Mobile Bay oyster farmer predicts this year will be the last due to dredging projects." Now, I know the dredging projects are a pretty big deal for economic development in the state, but it seems like this guy has got his own perspective on all this.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a really sad story, a sad snapshot of what could be the future for an industry in South Alabama that has a nationwide impact and always has. It's always been a wonderful thing that we can get fresh oysters right here on Alabama's beautiful Gulf Coast. And I have to pause here and say, yesterday when I was doing this story and I was in this boat and traveling around, the coast, I thought, my goodness, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this right now. And I sent my dad a picture, and I was like, just another day in the office, while he's in Wedowee doing all his hard work. Because seriously, we have got to sometimes you just got to pause and look and say, look what God has given us. Look what we have. Just such a positive thing. But then this story shows how some things can go from bad to worse. And what that is right now is the oyster business in the Gulf. Troy Cornelius, his family has been not just in the oyster business, but just kind of like in the fishing, shrimping business for generations. He said even his wife's family goes back like 5 generations. And while we were out there, he showed me this little island where his wife's family used to have little shacks, and they lived there. And so they just have a very rich history. And this is in Mobile Bay, but it's a place called Cedar Point, which is basically right before the big bridge that goes over to Dolphin Island. It's a very, very long bridge. A lot of people know about that one. And it's just a really nice area. If you've ever been to Dolphin Island, you've definitely been over that. You've seen where I'm talking about. Well, in the water bottoms there have been reefs that just are covered in oysters for decades at least, probably longer than that. Actually, he said some of the artifacts that have been found in that area dated back like, I don't even want to say the number of years that he said, but it was like millions and millions of years ago. So,
wow,
I mean, it's really cool, some of the stuff I learned over there. But the problem is with several dredging projects that they've had, it's caused a lot of sludge to cover up these oyster beds. And when an oyster is covered, not only can it kill them, they're not getting, the oxygen and the elements that they need to survive, but they cannot reproduce successfully. So there's this thing, I learned a lot yesterday about oysters, but a baby oyster is called a spat, and it's like a little bitty oyster floating about, in the water. And so what it does is it finds an oyster shell to attach to, and that's how it grows and becomes an adult oyster. And when there's sand and sludge over the oyster shells, they can't find anything to attach to. So they float off and they die. And so that's what we're seeing now. Actually, Troy Cornelius told me yesterday there's only one reef left down there in the whole area. And he said he believes this year is very likely their last year to be getting oysters from down there. Maybe they'll have 1 year after this, but he says everything's gone. And he does blame some projects that are connected with the widening and deepening of the Mobile ports. They're doing that because they want to get larger ships in. This is going to be a great thing as far as economic development in the area. It'll help with more jobs. We're going to get more shipments in, and it'll not only help the local community but also the nation. And so they're excited about that. But at the same time, the way that the U.S. Corps of Engineers is going about this project has really ruffled feathers. It's not only Cornelius but also the Mobile Baykeeper.
Well, I mean, it looks like the projects are going to continue, and I mean, it's very sad that this reef is being disrupted in this way, but I believe you also have a quote here in your story from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers saying it's in compliance with standards of National Marine Fisheries Service, and that they're pursuing that way. And it's not just that project, as you point out in the piece, some of these restoration efforts, whatever that means. He lost $1.5 million oysters due to a restoration project?
Yeah, they've had to restore some of the shoreline, and they want to, put up some of those, they want to build up areas so that the big waves, they kind of, they don't harm the causeway and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But he said when they do that, they get all of this material and dump it over the oyster beds. And so he's not even happy with that. And what he wants is, as far as the project to widen and deepen the port, he thinks that they need to take that sludge and dump it out in the open water. And they have done that with several other projects around the nation, including, I believe it's Savannah, Georgia. They did it there. But here they're just dumping it in the bay. And I've been covering this story for a while. But they said over 20 years it'll be like 90 million cubic yards, which is like, wow. I don't even know how many football, like a bunch in the Mobile Bay. And if you go over to that area, it's really not even that deep. I could have stood up in the water where I was yesterday. And so when you get all that extra sludge in there, it's sad. I mean, I'm not a professional. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know what they're doing. But I would hope that maybe they could come to a compromise, because I'm sure there's a need for that material somewhere, especially with all of the, Dawson Island was split in two from a hurricane. So, right. I mean, I'm sure there could be a better place to put that stuff.
Well, maybe your story here will kick up some sort of solution to this, and great reporting. Yeah. I know it's very detailed. Folks, if you want to read it yourself, again, I've got it pulled up on the stream here, but the headline is, "All of this stupidity, Mobile Bay oyster farmer predicts this year will be the last due to dredging projects." And Erica Thomas has much more there with her byline under it. And so, folks, Erica, if folks want to check out what you're working on, or maybe send you a lead for a story, how can they do so?
Yeah, you can go to 1819news.com and you can subscribe, and we'll send you a daily email of all of our top headlines. We'll also send breaking news email every once in a while, but not very often. Only if it's something really big. We don't want to flood your email. You can also sign up for exclusive content, and you get stuff like the magazine that's about to come out the week after the session starts, and we have a really interesting focus for that magazine. But you can also email news at 1819news.com, and that'll go to all of us. And if you want to email one of our reporters specifically, you can go to their story, and at the bottom, their email address is there. Click on that. Let us know what you're thinking.
Well, good to hear from you again, Erica, and we'll do this again soon. Appreciate it.
You too. Y'all have a good week.
You too. Again, folks, it's Erica Thomas, editor-at-large here at 1819news.com. Yeah, the dredging project in general, I think is a good thing. Why they have to dump, and maybe they're just not aware of it. Maybe they don't care.
Man, I was kind of rolling it around in my head. I mean, surely the storms and everything will kind of re-push it back into the bay, even if you do dump it out. It's probably cost inefficient, doing it that way.
Right.
I mean, I would think that, if there was a practical use for it, someone would make a penny on it, and that wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, change is coming. The bay's going to be widened. I mean, at one point I was over here looking up how long it would take to, repopulate these oysters after everything kind of settled. It's about 3 years. Let's go capture some of those little babies and have our native Mobile Bay oysters frozen up and reintroduce them, after everything settles. But I mean, if it can be done reasonably and go dump it out in the Gulf, why not? Who's in charge of that decision?
Well, and this is such a very careful statement. I'll read it from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers saying, quote, "The Mobile Harbor project complies with all applicable federal and state regulations. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is actively monitoring dredging to ensure compliance and continues to work with jurisdictional agencies to protect resources in Mobile Bay." Are we even talking to humans?
Let's take it a step farther, guys. Let's just, take it a little bit farther out there.
Yeah, there's always there's always a cost, and I'm not just talking money. There's always trade-offs in this world, and yeah, maybe something can be done to rectify the situation, but it is, especially for a guy who's spent 3 decades doing that. That's his job. You can tell he's passionate about it just from reading the story.
Oh man, I mean, I love oysters, man. They'd probably be my last meal if I had one.
Oh yeah. Well, no, and I look at something like the ones here in Alabama are fantastic, especially when I go to visit my dad on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had some in Boston, and they have massive harbors, and they have like 3 or 4 different types of oysters that are all fantastic. I really do enjoy get oysters in the half shell and get different types, so you can really taste the difference in different types of oyster.
I'm a connoisseur. One of my favorite tickets in D.C. was the oyster festival that they had every year, and every oyster just about from around the country, all at one event. Dadgummit,
I'm hungry now, and we're only like 20 minutes into the show.
All we need are 3 dozen apiece, and we'd be all right.
Let's actually go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joe, it's Jim.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Yeah, I just turned you on. You talked about that. Got me thinking. I'm an old guy, I lived in Mobile for quite a while, and back in the early 80s, I was working at a store in the Springdale Mall, and every Friday, this lady would come up from Fowler Battery with a big old tank full of fresh oysters, and I'm talking about already shelled. And she come out there, and you could get a half-gallon bucket for $4.50. God, I'd get me a bucket of them things, and man, they were really plentiful back then. But can you imagine paying $4 for a half gallon of fresh oysters already shelled?
That's amazing.
Just
actually.
On the odds, whatever the poison or whatever the bad one you get, I'd have that because I'd eat so many that it'd just be inevitable.
But boy, now I guess something like that, a gallon of oysters now would probably cost you what, $30?
Yeah, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin with something like that because I only know from the restaurant side, and they mark it up obviously.
Thank you.
I think a 40-pound oyster is about $85 now.
Oh wow, $85.
I think for a 40-pound
bag. For a 40-pound. Yeah. Huh.
Well, those were the good old days.
Well, and it is interesting how the simple delights and pleasures in life, like just sitting down for breakfast or getting a gallon of already shucked oysters, it's like everything's so much more expensive now. I don't that's what drives me nuts is like the basic things that why is it so freaking expensive to go to have bacon and eggs in the morning?
You want already shucked? Nah, man, you got to shuck them yourself.
You watch your mouth.
Right.
Have you ever had you eaten raw oysters, Joe?
Oh yeah.
First one I had, I was in New Orleans. My father-in-law went into a restaurant downtown there, Captain something. I can't remember the restaurant. And we walked in, there was a guy sitting right there. He was shucking oysters. And my father said, "Hey, you ever had one?" I said, "No." So he put one on the plate. Man, thing looked like it's about as big as a baseball. That's a big old oyster. And I had never had those. If you've never eaten one, he put it on there, and I just put that thing in my mouth, and I went, whew. It was weird, you know,
Oh, I love them. Like you can suck those down. A little bit of cocktail sauce, and I add a little extra horseradish. Man.
But I like them fried too. I like them fried. They're good fried.
Oh yeah. I might have eaten some fried oysters last night.
All right. Well, now I'm gonna have to go to Captain D's now and go get me some seafood here. I don't think they got oysters over there. That's too bad. Man,
appreciate it, Jim.
Y'all have a good. All right, bud.
So my first experience eating an oyster, I was 5 years old. The name of the place was Hall's Oyster Bar.
Okay.
Geneva, Alabama. Sat down, Dad on one side, me on the other bar stool, feet nowhere close to the floor. Had to slurp it up out of the shell. No hot sauce, no ketchup.
Just by itself.
Just straight indoctrination into the gang.
Well, and if they're really fresh, that's amazing. You don't really need to add anything.
Oh no, man! The salty Apalachicola Bay oysters. That's what I grew up on.
Oh yeah. No, and it really is amazing when you try different ones right next to each other. The different brines, like the taste is so unique.
Oh, I mean, when you get to open them, like some of the shells are so brittle. I think it's pinpoint. Those are so difficult to get into.
By the way, folks, we're taking it easy here on a Thursday. But there's plenty to talk about. Bob Uecker passes away at 90, and a lot of folks giving tributes. MLB Network did a beautiful tribute to Uecker. A lot of folks sharing old Norm Macdonald clips on David Letterman telling stories about Bob Uecker. Norm and Macdonald and Bob Uecker became fast friends, golf buddies, and just people sharing Major League clips. That's when I think my first memory of Bob Uecker is watching Major League. Because I'm a little younger.
How fun would it be just to be playing in the foursome with Norm, Bob Uecker, and anyone else?
Oh, right. Yeah, that would be a blast.
That'd be the best day ever, man.
More activity, of course, going on in Capitol Hill. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, or Bessent, whatever way you want to say his name, testifying right now in front of the Senate, and he is holding his own quite well, like many of Trump's nominees. Pam Bondi and Adam Schiff really got into it yesterday. Adam Schiff, by the way, does all the things he does in the House of Representatives during the Trump term, and he's rewarded with a Senate seat. So,
He's a dweeb, dude.
Oh, my God. That guy is infuriating. And there's an ick factor. Like,
yeah.
A lot of these folks can annoy me. That guy gives me the creeps. I don't know what's going on with him. But we'll see if Schiff can survive. But outside of the battle on Capitol Hill, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin successfully reaches orbit in its first flight test of its massive Glenn rocket. And this thing's been delayed since 2020. Some engineering issues, especially with the rocket engines, but it finally is up there. And Elon Musk congratulated Jeff Bezos on this. And that is really a beautiful thing. Like, if Blue Origin starts actually competing with the Falcon 9 and SpaceX, this is great. We now have these competing teams trying to dominate space,
it's
for lack of a better
nice
term.
When you can compliment second place, though.
Oh yeah. That's always a sweet deal. But I watched some clip. I'm like, how dedicated is Jeff Bezos to this? The same guy who's done the walk and talks with Elon around what they do at SpaceX there in Texas. He did a walk and talk with Bezos around their manufacturing plants, and Bezos is in deep with this stuff. Like, he in the technical details, and you can tell as he's going around how he's like a kid in a candy shop. So
they have to be super passionate, and as successful as they are, how hands-on they are with all their projects.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things to go to today. Also, just our neighboring state, Georgia. Georgia State Senator Colton Moore pushed to the ground and arrested for trying to enter the Georgia House chamber. He had been previously banned from entering. And the reason why is like, really?
If I'm not mistaken, this is the same gentleman when he was in the representative side. They basically put him in a broom closet for his office.
Oh, I believe
he was persona non grata.
I believe it. Yeah.
With former Speaker Ralston, which is where all this originated.
Well, and that's he said something about Ralston Ralston had passed, and he said something at the whole ceremony in the State House how Ralston was the most corrupt figure in all of Georgia, and that led the current speaker to ban him. And he tried to enter, and today, and we have the clip. We'll get to that in a second. He falls pretty hard, but he didn't hurt himself. And it's like, okay, like everybody calm down.
A lot of people would probably agree with him about his statement.
Right. But the insiders,
yeah, it was one of theirs.
How dare you say, especially when we're trying to, put the man to rest. How dare you say the truth?
Very eerie, kind of similar to the whole standing on the stage with Mike and just wrapping their arms around him and talking about how great he was.
And then also, did you see the official portraits revealed by Trump and Vance?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, let me type that in real quick. The Trump one, Vance just seems really happy. But the Trump one is like straight up a remake of his mugshot. Oh, shut up, Lee Greenwood.
It looks strong though, man. I like it.
It really does look great. Like that is that's a good shot right there. Let's here pull it up on the stream. Yeah, Trump is not playing around in that photo right there.
Did you give the farewell address any?
Oh, we'll get to that. Biden saying a creeping oligarchy. Right after you just gave, like, the top medal to George Soros? You're talking about creeping oligarchs? Corrupt creature?
I couldn't understand half the things that he was talking about, man.
Oh,
he was out of it.
It's insane. Let's go to line 3, though, before we hit a break. You're on there. Who's this?
Boomer T, how y'all doing?
Good. How you doing?
All right, let me tell you. First off, best oysters are Apalachicola Bay.
Heard.
Second is Louisiana. Third is Bayou La Battery. Now, this time I go to Apalachicola every year in September because that's the freshest, best oysters in Apalachicola, and you go down there and you get scallops. Now, scallops are absolutely delicious too, but there's two kinds of scallops too. You have a bay scallop, which is about as big as your thumb, and then you got the sea scallops. You can have both. You go down there, you look for the little bay oysters. But oysters down there in Apalachicola are so bad. Now, during COVID, there's a buddy of mine down there has a place down there. He could not get oysters because they put a block on it 5 years, okay? He was getting all his oysters straight out of Louisiana. Louisiana oysters were so sweet and so delicious. But the next time you ever get a chance, everyone should go to Apalachicola. It's the most beautiful place you've ever seen, St. George Island and all that. If you go down there, go to Apalachicola Oyster Factory. It's that right downtown. They come off the ship. They bring the oysters in right there, and a buddy of mine, Pete, owns the place down there. We go down there. There's nothing like when them ships come off and they drop them right there, opening up one right there and just slurping the brine and the juice and just running down your face. There's nothing like it. But I will say one thing. This is not trying to be a commercial for anybody, but if anybody wants some delicious oysters, the best place to go, be honest, around here, that's the Connection. David Scott, by none.
That's what I said.
By far, David. If you want any kind of seafood, I mean, if I'm not going to eat, if I eat seafood, I'm going to either go to David's or I'm going to Apalachicola or I'm going down to Louisiana somewhere or on the Gulf. I'm not going to go in a restaurant. I don't buy this stuff in a restaurant because it all comes out of a U.S. food truck. So that's what I'm saying. So, guys, I enjoy it, but I'm enjoying your show, man. It's been a lot. You gave us a lot of information today. That young lady, man, she's right on time. I like listening to her. She gives some serious information that nobody realizes what's going on. So, guys, y'all have a great day. Continue up the good work, and I'll see you when I see you. And God bless America.
Thanks, Boomer.
Appreciate it, Boomer T. No, and I think, doesn't Chuck's get theirs from Dustin?
I assume.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
some of the restaurants, the top-end restaurants, it's not just Chuck's. I think it's all the top-end ones probably source it from Destin Connection, all their fish.
When I was doing
seafood.
back of the house, some of the white tablecloth, it was,
Yeah, because I've had seafood at like most of the restaurants around here, and it's all fantastic. I'm like, this has to be Destin Connection. So there's plenty to get to, folks. I don't even know where to begin once we hit this break, but how about we hit the break first as part of the program, brought to you by Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. And they're at the Goodson Group. Bo and his team are ready to help you with buying and selling here in the River Region real estate market. Bo has been working in the Montgomery and surrounding areas for over, 40 years. It's now closer to half a century, 50 years. At the Goodson Group, not only can they help you with buying and selling your property, they have management services available should you want to rent out your home, which is a great idea in this market with all the turnovers, especially with, say, the Air Force bases around here. And then the crown jewel at the Goodson Group is the Bo Goodson Real Estate School, one of the most highly acclaimed and accredited real estate programs in the state of Alabama. And the proof is all the folks that have graduated from that course, really learning from Bo's experience direct, whether they're fully licensed real estate agents now or more knowledgeable private players. There have been a lot of folks that have learned at the feet of Bo Goodson. So y'all check him out today. You can always go to thegoodsongroup.com or give him a call at 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group, great sponsor here of the program.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk.
Hey, man.
Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money?
Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest.
You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist?
That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
I see.
Yes, he is our preferred money man.
The money man with the money plan.
You've been paying attention.
Well, could you give us those numbers one more time?
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man.
Oh, what's that?
I'm not an elk.
Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you?
Knights of Columbus.
I am not even going to make a comment.
Well, the baby liked it.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Well, hi, everybody. We're enjoying this little oasis of niceness before the next winter assault arrives. Today, a good bit of sunshine and fairly comfortable for this time of the year with a high temperature up to about 60. Mostly clear. Headed for another freeze tonight, low 32. Tomorrow's high in the lower 60s, still dry. In fact, I think we're dry through Friday evening with the risk of periods of rain holding off till late Friday night. First half of the day on Saturday before noon. Dry Saturday afternoon, mid-60s. Scattered showers Saturday night ahead of a cold front that brings in the first surge of colder air on Sunday with a high only up to about 47. Then much colder later in the week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At CB&S Bank, we've been meeting the needs of our customers since 1906. Need help setting up new business goals? Our line of commercial loans can help you achieve them. Go to cbsbank.com to find a location near you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Oh, Erica Thomas commenting on the stream now and saying Tin Top has the best oysters. Well, down, I guess, in her neck of the woods.
I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, so I'll report back with my reviews.
Okay. Yeah, you let us know Byron's food tour of the coast. Man, those are the guys that did it right. The people have made careers about like going and eating food and trying food all over the place. Those are the people that got it right. What a career. I'm sure it's got its issues too, like anything else, but that's a pretty fun thing to get popular for and make money off of.
Anthony Bourdain's always one of those people, if you could have 5 people at dinner.
Yeah, who were those early rock stars like Bourdain? What was it? Michael White, I almost think, was with Bourdain. He'd made these amazing dishes. I think you'd recognize him if you saw his face. Of course, you saw the early Food Network folks like Emeril. But now it's kind of like the YouTube space is dominated by folks you never would have heard of.
I think my favorite right now, I think it's Sean. It's either Brock or Bach. I think it's Brock.
Yeah, there's some really talented people out there. And then, of course, Guga is always fun to watch. He does decadent, over-the-top stuff and weird experiments and Guga Foods. Look it up. Okay. It's a great channel. It's shot beautifully. It's done really cool. And he has a lot of crazy ideas. And some of the stuff you're like, I want to make that. Like, shows you how to make it. But he's the guy who goes, I'm going to try all the different types of Wagyu in different levels, spend $10,000 to try everything. Like, he does these over-the-top things. I think he has, like, millions and millions of followers at this point, so he can afford it. But yeah, I'm in the wrong industry. I should have gotten into the food business.
There's still time, man. Take this show on the road.
There you go. 272-9228. I'm getting a Winnebago. Actually, retrofit a Winnebago.
Create your own food truck?
Yeah. Well, no. Studio in the Winnebago. Nice. So we can kind of travel, still do the show, but be on location in different spots.
I will be the driver.
Like if we were able to take it down to the inauguration here in Montgomery and like just be hanging out doing the show down there.
We have plenty of people we can lean on to help retrofit this thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Ideas, folks. Ideas aplenty here at the beginning of 2025. Again, the number's 272-9228, 334-272-9228. You're right. The Joe Biden thing is over the top. I think, what's the main quote he had? I don't even want to play him because it was hard to understand.
Well, I don't know what they're saying it was, but the part I couldn't get over last night was his fear of AI. I mean, like, he seemed like he was pretty concerned.
It should be a real fear about AI because it is a mad dash. He thought the nuclear race was a big deal. I think this is going on.
For your farewell address?
Right. Well, it was kind of a lot of doom and gloom. There were a lot of moments where
he was upset. Like, he wanted more. I mean,
right.
He got a bum deal, that whole 4-year charade.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the quote here. Biden, an oligarchy of wealth, power, and influence threatens our democracy. Well, the thing is, Joe, we're not really officially democracy where we vote on everything. We have been.
Freaking elections is also not good.
Yeah, we've been an oligarchy for a long time. And it's not just rich people. It's people who are connected, who are in the club.
Well, they're mostly rich.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're rich. There's plenty of overlap between rich people being oligarchs. But I'm saying it's not just because you're rich. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you get into the club.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And there are plenty of folks that aren't billionaires like Elon Musk who are, say, academics, or they're part of certain think tanks, that whole world, or they're members of Congress, or they're in the State Department or the FBI or the intelligence community.
All those people are still
the media. Yeah. This is, I think, you always want to be like, oh, the oligarch's just that rich guy, like Scrooge McDuck swimming in all his gold, which is like, number one, why would you criticize anybody for swimming in gold? That's freaking awesome. It's actually, I don't think, even possible the way he used to swim around in his gold coins. I don't think it would flow as easy.
If I had a couple, I'd try.
We'd try. It probably hurts. It's not like a ball pit.
I'll report back.
All right. You've got a lot on your plate now. But that is absolutely crazy coming from Joe Biden. Why? He just gave a medal to George Soros, the uber oligarch. Your party, all the richest counties in this country, all the richest people, for the most part, gave money to y'all's campaigns. Did y'all's bidding. Or it's more you did their bidding. I find it remarkable that Biden claims to have this moral high ground. I don't see it. He's a creature of Washington. He's been a creature of Washington for a long time. And he plays this game like, oh, we're so good and wonderful and you must listen to us. Screw you, buddy. You've signed up for all sorts of wars that upend entire countries and you just, like you're flicking off a booger. No big deal. A bunch of people dead, displaced, yada, yada, yada. How much money have you spent to destroy people's futures? How much corruption have you engaged in with the Biden family business? By the way, a special counsel, David Weiss, saying, I'm not going to charge Hunter Biden with FARA violations. I might have because of this blanket pardon.
Right.
So that blanket pardon was clearly not just to help a son, but to cover Joe's own backside. So, spare me about the oligarchy. You've been playing the oligarchy longer than I've been alive, Joe Biden. And now you're warning us, the few rich guys that took on the oligarchy? You mean the guys that actually had the amount of money to where they couldn't be beholden to you a-holes over and over again? Like so many folks, even good people have to be beholden to you? Finally, we got a guy that can say, F you can't blackmail me with money. F you can't blackmail me with all your reputational destruction. Those are the people you're calling the oligarchs? See, this is how it's played. Mm-hmm. And here's, of course, Bernie Sanders, because communism would work if you let Bernie Sanders run the thing. Here's Bernie Sanders trying to take on the incoming Treasury Secretary. Let's listen in.
What Biden said last night is we're moving toward an oligarchy. I'm asking you that question.
We are an oligarchy. We've been an oligarchy ever since FDR was put into the ground.
That's what all right. So
listen,
I was reading something earlier this morning on Biden when he first came into office. He apparently met with a group of historians who were going to, write something on him. And he opened the meeting with, now, guys, I'm no FDR. Now, hear me. I'm no FDR.
All right.
Like, feigning for it. Like, please paint me as FDR.
Give me
That's what the seeds are sown and will, grow into the future. He feels slighted. Like all the good he's done. Like, get over it, Joe.
But I'll let Bernie finish here.
What Biden said last night is we're moving toward an oligarchy. I'm asking you that question. Do you think, forget how they made their money, do you think that when so few people have so much wealth and so much economic and political power, that is an oligarchic form of society?
Well, I would note that President Biden gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to two people who I think would qualify for his oligarchs.
But Biden,
right.
Point of order. So this guy has never had a private sector job. He has always been.
Oh, Bernie, yeah.
Bernie. He has at least 3 houses.
Right.
Come on, man. Pot, kettle. Let's go.
And he didn't make that money as a mayor.
No.
How did you make all that money as a senator? And Bernie Sanders is supposed to be the guy of the left who was principled and all this stuff. He's the Ron Paul of the socialists. No, he's not. As soon as I'll endorse Hillary Clinton, I think she's a corrupt oligarch, but I like nice things.
I'll say on the Nancy Pelosi investment plan.
He's like those guys in Moscow when the Holodomor is going on and millions of kulaks are being starved and destroyed and killed in Ukraine. But because, the Soviets and the commies are putting on a good time for them in Moscow, a lot of parties, a lot of connections, plenty of food for us. Things are great here. I've seen the future and it works.
Hypocrisy is just a nasty cologne, man.
Hypocrisy. That is a good ad. By the way, why does the city smell like nasty rotten eggs the last few days?
Sulfur.
Something is definitely sulfuric. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Got to hit this quick break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Honey?
Yeah?
Do you think it's safe using all these extension cords?
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Actually, too many extension cords can be dangerous. Call Crosby Electric to add new outlets.
Sure is dark in our yard.
Good. We'll sleep better.
Maybe you will.
Crosby Electric does landscaping lighting for beauty and safety, as well as security lighting for peace of mind.
Oh, darn. The vacuum cleaner just tripped a breaker.
Honey, never vacuum while I'm making popcorn.
Tripping breakers can indicate a potential fire hazard. You really should have it checked out by Crosby Electric, serving the river region for almost 50 years.
Sweetheart, are you ever afraid that lightning could damage our electrical system?
Afraid? Oh, come on. No. Maybe we should call Crosby. Just give him a call.
Whole house surge protection can protect you and your possessions. For an assessment and for all your electrical needs, call Crosby Electric 272-2085 or visit us at crosbyelectric.com.
Looking to sell or maybe for your dream home or the perfect piece of land? I'm Hannah Grantham.
And I'm Eddie Bader. Together, we're your go-to real estate team at Forest Meadows Homes and Land.
Whether you're buying, selling, or looking to invest, we know the Central Alabama market inside and out.
From cozy homes to sprawling estates, we make finding the right property easy and stress-free.
With us, you're not just a client, you're a partner. We're here for all your real estate needs.
Let us show you that not all agents are the same, and let's make your real estate dreams a reality. Call us today, 334-322-0662.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. This part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings, and good folks over there. I know you know them, Byron. You've done some work with them. And at Dillon Rings, they are a full-service jewelry shop ready to help you, whether you're shopping their great selection they have in-store, from high-end jewelry to everyday jewelry items to repairs or spa treatments or custom design work. They do all sorts of great things there. If you go to their Facebook page today, that's Dillon Rings, D-Y-L-A-N Rings, on the Book of Faces. They're talking about these inside-out diamond hoop earrings. They are gorgeous. These hoops will dress up any outfit and fit in with jeans and a t-shirt for everyday wear. So it can be like fancy, you're out at a big gala event, or you're just wanting to look pretty good at the cookout or the hootenanny or something. And you don't have to worry about them coming out unexpectedly with these locking push button posts. That's really, really cool. Now they're regularly just shy of $3,000. But if you tell them Joey sent you, you can get these earrings until January the 25th for $1,798.50.
Won't be there then.
That's an incredible savings. But you got to tell them Joey sent you. There's only one pair at that price for the special Joey price. It's like 40-something% off if I'm doing quick math. So you better hurry. That's before January the 25th. If you want these inside-out diamond hoop earrings, get by Dillon Rings at 119 Brown Springs Road and say, that Joey Clark guy on the radio sent me. I really want that deal.
It's not making it past payday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
272-9228. Y'all be sure to tell Josh and Leslie that I did send you for savings there, or just if you're shopping around the place. Now, real quick here. There's a guy named, Colton Moore?
Colton Moore.
He's a state senator in Georgia. He said some nasty things about the former speaker who's now passed away, Ralston.
Mm-hmm.
And he was then banned by the current speaker, whose name I'm forgetting.
Burns, I believe.
Okay. And they said, you're not allowed in the house, the state house anymore. And so he tried to enter for, I think, is some big event going on. And let's listen in or watch. You can watch on the stream with us. It's pretty quick, but it's always interesting when you see men in suits fighting and pushing each other.
Let me tell you about the Georgia State House. They have real security. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, like
troopers. Like that's what those guys look like.
They have
legit troopers.
SWAT. I mean, when you have as many protests as Atlanta has, always at the state capitol, they're never underprepared.
Well, here's the moment that happened. The guy who falls to the ground is this state Senator Moore. Let's listen in. Oh! He hit that tile floor pretty hard.
Down goes Moore.
It's gone too far. It has gone too far.
It has gone too far.
I have an obligation to be in that room. I represent 200,000 people in Northwest Georgia who duly elected me to be here today.
Is it Secretary of Arms? Is that who he's addressing?
Yeah, they didn't. The officers didn't push him. It was another senator, I think.
I don't know if that's the senator or if that's someone else.
It's somebody suited and booted. That guy right there. Like if I pull it up on the stream, yeah, it's that fella right there.
I think he may also be.
Here, let's see it again.
Yeah, that's security.
Who's that?
That's security.
Also suited and booted?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it went a little far when you're shoving a state senator, but I guess they say you're banned in Georgia. Don't try getting back in there. But how can you do that? He was voted in. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And real quick, before we move on from the whole, and I'm probably not going to move on from the whole Joe Biden oligarchy is showing up. Bernie Sanders, are we heading towards an oligarchy, sir? It's like, you lying dopes. A more left-leaning, kind of center-left person, Batya Ungar Sargon, she's been around for a while, and if you've looked on the internet, kind of the free press folks with Barry Weiss and whatnot, she has this out, and I tend to think this is correct. Trump won folks making under 100K. Well, the Dems won those making over 100K. Biden had 2 billionaires to every one Trump had. 2-1, billionaires backing Biden. 75% of hedge funders gave to Kamala. 9 out of 10 of the richest counties in the country, and 65% of those making over 500K are represented by Dems. Every accusation from Democrats is a confession. Well, the oligarchy is like, okay, Bernie, you are one. Why'd you get paid off? Why do you have all these homes? You can sit there and say, well, I'm a communist, and I wouldn't vote. Give me a break. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Florida's governor announcing his choice to replace Secretary of State nominee Marco Rubio's seat in the U.S. Senate. The state's Attorney General, Ashley Moody, will become the second woman to represent Florida in the upper chamber. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's cabinet was scheduled to vote on a ceasefire agreement. However, Netanyahu's office says they won't meet until Hamas backs down, accusing it of reneging on parts of the agreement. Blue Origin has launched its massive new rocket on its first test flight. The 320-foot New Glenn rocket, designed to haul spacecraft and eventually astronauts to orbit and also the moon. On Wall Street, stocks have been mixed. The Dow is down 49 points, but the S&P is up 6. This is SRN News.
Making America great again starts with making America healthy again. Charlie Kirk here. I lost 40 pounds with the PhD weight loss and nutrition program. And 2 years later, I haven't gained a pound back. I started the PhD weight loss program because I need to be healthy to keep up with my crazy schedule. Most people start a weight loss program to get healthier. So why is Big Pharma spending millions to convince you to use their weight loss injections that do just the opposite? They have harmful side effects and lifelong dependency. Take a natural approach that isn't connected to a Big Pharma bottom line. PhD changes the way you think about food. They custom design a plan that is simple and works with your schedule. You'll learn to quiet cravings and finally release the unhealthy belly fat. You won't be hungry and you'll never take medication. Call 864-644-1900 to schedule your one-on-one consultation or visit myphdweightloss.com. That is myphdweightloss.com, 864-644-1900.
Rich Thomas weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. We're enjoying this little oasis of niceness before the next winter assault arrives. Today, a good bit of sunshine and fairly comfortable for this time of the year with a high temperature up to about 60. Mostly clear. Headed for another freeze tonight, low 32. Tomorrow's high in the lower 60s, still dry. In fact, I think we're dry through Friday evening with the risk of periods of rain holding off till late Friday night. First half of the day on Saturday before noon. Dry Saturday afternoon, mid-60s. Scattered showers Saturday night ahead of a cold front that brings in the first surge of colder air on Sunday with a high only up to about 47. Then much colder later in the week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. After months of delays, Southern orthopedic surgeons received the green light for plans to build a new surgery center in Montgomery. The State Health Planning and Development Agency voted to approve the Certificate of Need request on Wednesday. The new surgery center is expected to be open within the next 2 years on Halcyon Point Drive. 3 Montgomery teenagers have been charged with robbery. Police officers arrested 2 13-year-olds and a 14-year-old as they were attempting to rob a business in the 400 block of East-South Boulevard on Wednesday. All 3 boys confessed and, after being charged with second-degree robbery, were released into the custody of their guardians. A Tallahassee man has been taken into custody following a school shooting threat posted to social media. 20-year-old Alan Nichols is being held at the Elmore County Jail on a first-degree charge of making a terrorist threat. Tallahassee City school administrators put the system on heightened awareness Wednesday morning because of the post. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Hi, I'm Dawn Sexton with Physical Therapy and Balance Center in Prattville. I've been advertising now with Blue Water Broadcasting for a while, and it has greatly increased our referrals. We're glad we can help people get increased mobility to love their life again. I highly recommend advertising with Blue Water Broadcasting. Thanks.
Did you know that radio is the #1 reach platform in all of media? It's true. Call us to find out how to put radio's #1 reach to work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
In politics, man must learn to rise above principle.
You are a rude, terrible person.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the Afternoon, or as we call the show online, Joey Clark Live. I'm Joey Clark. Byron Sheehy here in the studio with me today. And it's kind of stuck in my craw. And it's not just a matter of frustration. I'm now thinking about this. Joe Biden saying we're going towards an oligarchy, the concentration of power in the hands of a few, and uber wealthy, these types. Beyond my frustration, thinking about it for a second in the break, it's another example of like, what planet do y'all live on? Like, how much are you in your own bubble? Your own gilded little bubble of Washington, D.C. And I don't just mean like you have to know all the latest pop songs. What I mean is, because they pretend they know all that, the latest movies and all that. I'm still hip. I'm cool.
How much a gallon of milk costs?
Right, right. All these things. But no, completely ignorant of, or oblivious to, or playing the part of being ignorant and oblivious very well to the entire conversation that's been going on online. And especially the podcast world, the long-form podcast world. And it's not just like Joe Rogan, who I guess you could call a reformed Democrat or whatever he is. But Rogan's not some Christian conservative from Alabama, I think everybody knows. Nor is Elon Musk. Also, you could put him in the category of reformed Democrat. You could put like the Weinstein brothers, I mean, Eric and Brett, who are still more left-leaning in a lot of their stuff. But you can go to the tech bros and, you know, Peter Thiel types and the dissident thinkers and the very uber Christian like folks that, and there was a convergence, I almost think an agreement on the right, if you just paid attention to this stuff. The problem is we are under a corrupt oligarchy. The rule of the few by a few power players. And one of the main ways, at least public facing, that was operated was the media. Why do you think folks have been attacking the corporate press so much? Because it was in many ways, the enforcement arm of this corrupt ruling class, of this oligarchy, this rule of the few. And it's beautiful to see, yes, people taking on this fight. So maybe they're just trying to crib what helped get Trump back into the White House. Maybe they're just trying to steal it and be like, turn it around and like, oh, look, we're now defending democracy or something like that again.
I think it's more desperation than that. I mean, they just got taken to the woodshed.
Yeah.
So they have no clear platform that the American public wants to, even listen to.
Right.
So how would your show go if you only tried to talk to half your audience? Probably not as well, right?
Probably not, yeah.
They're only talking to the uber liberal, going to vote in every Democrat primary right now. They're not talking to all of America. That's the problem. They're talking to a very specific set of people, and we just unfortunately all have to listen to it.
Well, and in having that frame of mind too, that we're ruled by, the classical forms of simple government as John Adams might call it, or you can go back to Plato and Aristotle. Aristotle in particular, I think, puts this out there as there are three forms of simple government. The one, rule of the one, so monarchs and emperors and dictators, yada, yada, yada. The rule of the few.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be an aristocracy, that could be called an oligarchy, it could be called a plutocracy, but it's the rule of the few. And then you have rule of the many. It's called democracy. Now, sophisticated political thinkers, especially founders like John Adams, understood actually the government we created has all three forms of simple government. They're meant to be pitted against one another, and they battle each other out. And if you look at it, folks, look at our Constitution, that is how it's set up. Now, I think it's changed, obviously. But at the time, their whole idea is, okay, democracy is represented by the House of Representatives. It's sort of every 2 years. It's a big body of folks. It's kind of volatile. It's tumultuous. Like it's the heat of the passions of the people in the moment. Whereas the Senate was supposed to represent the interest of the states and the interest of, say, your merchants and your ruling elites. And that had much more to do with landowners and families at the beginning.
Yeah,
it's changed over time.
Aristocracy, yeah.
And then, of course, you had the presidency, which in the presidency, they made the president commander-in-chief. And you look at what the first president does, George Washington, he could have been monarch for life. If you look at what Alexander Hamilton does, contradicting the very things he says sometimes in the Federalist Papers on the powers of the federal government, they all understood this is sort of a combination of a battle of these different interests going on. So it's not like you just elect one person and that represents everybody, or you just elect a crazy assembly or direct democracy where the people vote on everything, which is insanity. You want to, and here's the dirty little secret with everything is being voted on. That's incredibly easily to manipulate by very rich people who have means of manipulating folks. So I find it fascinating that as time goes on, it did change. It isn't just about the big landowners. It became more about, yes, the new, the Gilded Age and the titans of industry and all these types. But they weren't fully in charge. I think what you need to look at are the early progressives. They understood that the old families that ruled the country were dying. They also understood the Civil War really sped that up as well, kind of just up into the country in many ways. And what was happening, I just said, if it's just direct democracy, it's easy for rich and powerful people to manipulate. Well, that's what the robber barons were doing. And in many ways, it was corrupt. In many ways, it was just raw deal making and horse trading going on. But it kind of worked, too. They got a lot of stuff done very quickly. Folks want to poo-poo the 1870s to the early 20th century. But no, that was one of the most productive, enriching times in human history. The amount of people rising up and the amount of wealth being created at that time. But the early progressives are looking at this, seeing the rise of the robber baron and seeing the decline of sort of the old prestige families, saying, well, who are going to be the next rulers, like the ruling class? And they did it brilliantly. They realized that if you take over media, and especially if you create a professional aspect to the media, you credential it, and there are certain standards and a prestige to being a journalist or whatever.
They're bona fide.
There you go. Or it's not just academia, or it's media, it's academia, it's all these different positions. We can take a hold of these and we can really then influence the culture. Who matters? The person that votes or the person that puts the ideas in that voter's head? The person that influences that voter. I don't need a majority. I just need a dedicated 5 to 10% who are brilliant, who are willing to use that power and steer the population in a certain direction. And it's what they, in many ways, pulled off. I think it gets going with Woodrow Wilson. And then it's really after the Great Depression and after World War II, which is a revolutionary war unto itself, that you see this new apparatus really take hold. And in many ways, they did great work. And this is why, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden and other folks on the right, I'm sure, throughout this term, it's an oligarchy. It's an oligarchy. Well, oligarchy is always going to be there. The threat of the mob and democracy is always going to be there. The threat of a king or an emperor will always be there. So it's more like, okay, in a given moment in time, what's the best way for us to rule that actually benefit everybody? And it might look different at different times. I think what Trump is doing, he's not gone full Napoleon Bonaparte, nor do I want him to go full American Caesar. But in a way, that's what Trump was appealing to. That I am the guy who can fight this whole corrupt system, and I know it's corrupt because I played the game and I'm corrupt too.
But I do think that all of the long-term goal is to create a stronger middle class economically. I truly do believe that that's President Trump, his ultimate goal. And I mean, as far as hating people because of wealth and stuff like that, look, wealth begets more wealth. With success comes more success.
Yes.
I think that the more or the greater we have a middle class, the stronger our country is going to be.
I agree.
And unfortunately, over the past 30 years, it's just been dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And to your point, I think these people who have power, they're able to exercise it a little bit more during that span. But now that we have the tech revolution and a president who actually cares about that set of people, we're able to take back a little bit more of that control.
And it does look like a lot of the folks that inherited these positions of power, whether in media, academia, I've even made this critique of the Pentagon and some of our top brass and warfighters, that a lot of the victories we talking about in America, if you're going to give a big speech, you're giving a State of the Union or a response to the State of the Union, I think we heard this in Senator Britt's response to the State of the Union. What do you hit on? We pioneered the land and manifest destiny. We, built skyscrapers. We defeated the Nazis and defeated fascism in the modern world and ushered in an international liberal order. We went to the moon. We do all these great things. And you think about it and you're like, we won the Cold War. Mm-hmm. And all these are great accomplishments, but let's start there at the Cold War ending. It's 1990, it's 1991. How many of the folks that actually accomplish these great things are still alive? And I think what's happened is the next generation and generation after that and after that has inherited a lot of these institutions, and they hail all these accomplishments. But I'm like, yeah, but your granddaddy did that. You didn't. Mm-hmm. And you still want to act like you have the prestige of your granddaddy. And I think that's exactly what's going on. And finally, folks are calling them on it. It's like, you're not Walter Cronkite.
And actually, the more we look at it, I don't know if Walter Cronkite was actually that fair.
Right.
Who knows? There was no competition in town.
Yeah, I mean, the whole romantic, white picket fence and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we may think that it was better back then in some cases, but I truly do think that right now we are on the cusp of actually being able to have the strongest America that we've had probably since World War II, man. I mean, like, it just seems like every decade has gotten worse and worse, except for maybe the 90s because of the tech boom. But other than that, it just seems like it's gotten worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. And it's because I think folks are in privileged positions, and they often are talented and smart and all this stuff. But when you don't earn it and create it yourself, there's a possibility you'll screw it up. Because you don't feel the screw up.
Right.
You can screw up and you'll get promoted in that world.
But it's not your baby either. Like,
right.
When you create something, you have pride and ownership over it. I mean, and yeah, the silver spoon is no longer in vogue. It's not cool.
And then think about like oligarchic control in just the media. The progressive establishment, the mainstream media or the corporate press, whatever you want to call these folks, prestige media. They've been complaining since Rush Limbaugh in the late 80s and early 90s. Mm-hmm. And again, that's a great place to start the clock in our modern history. Like, there's an old early Time magazine cover where it's Rush Limbaugh with the cigar going and like all that smoke like billowing over his head, and he's got that just great look. And it talks about the rise of talk radio and electronic populism because of the rise of the internet. So they've been worried about this for a while. Like, wait. We don't have control of the airwaves anymore because they got rid of the fairness doctrine and people actually want to have fun on the air and be rowdy and make jokes in politics instead of this just right down the middle sort of thing. So they're already worried. What? How long ago was that? 40 years ago?
Approximately, yeah. Thanks for dating.
And so it's only accelerated. It used to be your only option was to watch one of the big three networks. Your only option was maybe the local paper did some good work, but if you wanted the big stories, you go to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't have a lot of options, and the more we've gotten options, and those options also become more powerful, more interesting. Like, that's where the cool kids are. The cool kids are not trying to go get jobs at CNN.
Right.
They're the ones on the cutting edge on the podcast world. And so that is sort of so how did they respond to that? They responded to it by trying to destroy it. This was the whole deplatforming thing during COVID and even before. This was the policing of language on Twitter 1.0 and all this stuff. What was it all about? It was all about their oligarchic control. And this guy, Joe Biden, has the gall on the way out the door as he's half dead to be like, I think there's an oligarchy coming. It's insane. And then as people start to get into this frame of mind because they're following the cool kids in the podcast world and all this new media, and it really starts to break out. By the way, there were early victories with Rush Limbaugh. Look at the Gingrich and the Contract with America stuff. Like, there were like things that old Washington maybe wouldn't have liked. And I would say the last guy who's a Republican who really played within that world beautifully, beat him at their own game, was Reagan. I think Reagan was the guy who just brilliantly didn't challenge the status quo in the sense of I'm going to challenge these institutions, but he just played their game and he played it better than anybody else.
Than they did.
But you get to the point where everybody's in this frame of mind following the cool kids. They're like, okay, we are ruled by a corrupt ruling class and oligarchy. You start to notice things. So it was not just Vivek Ramaswamy on a debate stage. It's, Joey and every other person who's even had a second to think about and watch it going, I think they're going to replace Joe Biden. And everybody's thinking that not like a year and a half, 2 years before Joe Biden. And everybody, when he first ran in 2020, he's like, he's old. But as it got closer to 24 and Trump's going to be the guy, you're like, I think they're going to replace him. They're going to do a whole switcheroo on the guy.
Like, are we really going to do that? Are they going to do this to us?
And folks are like, who do you mean by they? Yeah. I'm like, the folks that donate to the Democratic Party, the folks that are in media and want a good thing to root for. Mm-hmm. The folks in, the prestige folks in academia, all the professors at Yale and Harvard who, don't want some country bumpkin like J.D. Vance or some philandering billionaire like Donald Trump there. Oh my God, he might upset our gravy train. And so folks are able to start seeing through like, oh, this isn't about, what's the issue of the day? And we're going to argue of, I want higher taxes, and you might want lower taxes. Like, no, it's not about pick your policy issue. It's like we see through the fake game you're playing, and we're tired of it, and we would be fine with it if things were great. Things were great in the 1990s. There was always room for improvement, but things were pretty freaking great. If things were great, we wouldn't be having these complaints. But you start to see, to your point, bad outcomes from the middle class. You start to see folks go, this corporate media stuff seems so fake to the other stuff I watch. You start to get insights. And the amazing part is certain Democrats are going to be wise. They're going to start telling the truth about this corrupt system. And they will be rewarded. If they have the gift of gab, it's already starting, by the way, slowly. Fetterman's one of them. But this happened, I think, yesterday on CNN. Chris Coons kind of says the quiet part out loud. You think he's a senator from Delaware. I think he replaced Biden.
Okay.
And you know how they did the whole switcheroo? And all of a sudden, Biden drops out of the race, not with a big speech like he just gave, but a image of a letter on Twitter over the weekend.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he announced he was dropping out of the race by a photo of a letter that he purportedly wrote, and they put it out on Twitter just on like a Saturday or Sunday. It was right after Trump was shot. And so it was unceremoniously, okay, he's done. The way they turned, by the way, in media on him after that debate, like he hadn't had pooped his pants before in front of the entire nation, God and country and everybody. So the switcheroo was in, and you hear the backs in stuff of this, like George Clooney's putting pressure from the Hollywood money, and what are the venture capitalist types and the hedge fund types saying they don't want to put their money behind them, yada, yada, yada. But it was Nancy Pelosi that really pulled the strings within the party and ousted Biden. But of course, for the longest time, they'll say, no, we didn't.
It was Obama, man.
We didn't do that.
It was Obama.
Well, listen to this, because this is reacting to not just Biden's farewell address. Joe Biden said something to the effect of, we used to be friends, talking about Kamala. So Chris Coons, in the middle of a free-flowing conversation, kind of lets the quiet part out loud.
But on Jill Biden and looking at this, she had a quote today to the Washington Post about Nancy Pelosi's role and Biden getting out of the race. And she said, quote, "We were friends for 50 years. I'm imagining she was using her teacher's voice. She said, quote, "It was disappointing." You know that Jill Biden is very careful with how she uses her words. What did you make of that moment?
Well, it's the first I'm hearing of it, but what I make of it is that she may well have wished that Speaker Pelosi had engaged directly with them rather than orchestrating a campaign to try and get President Biden to step down from the race.
It was around the House, but Jeffries went to Obama and said, we're going to lose the House. Remember, Joe was fine until that meeting on Saturday with Obama. And after that, that's when everything went down.
Well, and again, nobody voted for Kamala Harris to be the presidential nominee. It was government of a few picking who they wanted. And think back all the way to 2020, where it did seem like an actual competitive race in the 2020 Democratic primary. I mean, Kamala crapped the bed pretty early. Yeah, I mean, she had that one moment, I was that little girl, Joe, and how dare you pal around with racist? Please make me your vice president later, by the way. Right. But let me call you racist right now with all your segregationist buddies back in the day. But it wasn't just Kamala dropping. Buttigieg is in there, right? Amy Klobuchar is in that race. Bernie Sanders, like all these folks are in there. And all of a sudden, right before South Carolina, they all drop out. Who made the phone call? Before voters can even pick people and we can have competitive primaries, y'all all just get in line. Why? Y'all are people too. You have hopes and dreams and ambitions. Why did you all of a sudden drop out? In many ways, go back to 2016 where Bernie's trying to take on Hillary Clinton.
And almost, I mean, that's when they kneecap Bernie. And it's the same group of people that you're talking about.
And before Trump, this is exactly what the Republicans did. They're not as lockstep as the Democratic Party, but they had their same sort of fake games and behind the scenes players pulling the strings on so much stuff.
Mitch.
Yeah. So I love that this is all sort of just airing it out. But what I find amazing is there are certain Democrats that won't quite admit it. And I'll just say to those folks, admit it, and you'll probably be rewarded. Don't just blow smoke. Like, actually get to the bottom. Yeah, I'm tired of this corrupt ruling class. Now, maybe you don't have the money or the stones to actually stand up, or the spine, I'll put it in a more gender-neutral way. Maybe you don't have the steel spine to stand up to people that have all the money and the power. Maybe you're not Elon Musk. Maybe you're not Donald Trump. Maybe you're not Joe Rogan. But that's what's fascinating, is all the folks that do have spine, who have the money and means, who have the personality to actually capture people's imagination, they don't seem to be part of the club. So what is this you're talking about a rich ruling class rising up? It seems like the rich ruling class oligarchy was just defeated in 2024. Not fully. They're going to fight back. You see it in the committee hearings. You see it in all the little write-ups at the New York Times that all these federal employees are going to fight back and stuff. They're not done yet, but they lost the election, and they lost it bigly.
Mm-hmm.
So enough of me ranting and raving about this, but it's just, what a remarkable time in American politics where you are starting to see a structural, fundamental change. And the beautiful thing is we don't have to be like revolutionary France where people are getting their heads chopped off in the streets and it's crazy, it's blood spilling everywhere, and out of the craziness and carnage rises a Napoleon, a strong man. It doesn't have to be the Bolshevik Revolution. Doesn't have to be the Glorious Revolution. Doesn't have to be the Civil War here in America. The beautiful thing in this country is we do have a constitution that accounts for human nature, that accounts for all these different forms of simple government. And within that framework of the Constitution, you can easily rebuild. Beautiful thing is the Constitution doesn't say anything about the interagency process or the independence of the DOJ. All these different things, that all these executive agencies are independent of the people that, the people of America elect to actually run them. It's changing. We'll see. But I'm excited, especially when you see it coming from all angles. Doge jumping in on things. Plus, certain members of Congress being quite feisty. And I love the confidence, by the way, of some of these nominees coming in. Like, it isn't the same vibe as 2016 and 2017. Not the same vibe at all. Here's John Ratcliffe talking about a certain someone I think we all know.
When a chairman of an intelligence committee misrepresented that a laptop owned by then candidate Biden's son was somehow a Russian intelligence operation, and 51 former intelligence officials used the imprimatur of IC authority to go along with that. I stood in the breach. I stood alone and told the American people the truth about that. So I think my record in terms of speaking truth to power and defending the intelligence community and its good work is very clear. And what I can assure you is those types of instances, if I'm in that position as CIA director and have to do that again, as uncomfortable as that can be, to be accused, the truth will ultimately defend itself, and I think that intelligence will as well.
Yeah, don't get me started on a guy who's about to be CIA director. I'm a Boy Scout. No, I don't want a Boy Scout as my CIA director. But thanks, John.
Do you want a CIA director who tells the truth? I mean, come on, let's be honest here.
But here's that guy he was talking about who was a committee chairman in the House in the Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, who's now Senator Adam Schiff. Wow. Like I said, you could really fail at what you're trying to do, and you fail up.
You got to just chalk that up to it takes all kinds in the world.
Oh, yeah, it does. I say that all the time. You're right. But here's Adam Schiff trying to go back and forth with Pam Bondi on trap her, in a way.
Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files.
And will you be able to review hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am asked to look at.
Of course you won't. So will you advise the president?
Can I answer the question?
Well, my question
I would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review hundreds of cases on the first day?
I'm not going to mislead this body nor you
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me answer
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
also-
He is barking up the wrong tree.
Mm-hmm. And Pam Bondi held her own quite well yesterday.
She is strong, man.
Oh, what a mess. What a messy, messy situation. But in a way, I'm excited to see, well, how this all shakes out. Because we're doing amazing things. I can't help but be fascinated, just struck with wonder when I see these rocket launches.
We're kind of taking over government again. We're reclaiming media. I'll make the case that we're even reclaiming education when you see the SEC numbers, increasing the way that they are. More kids are coming to the Southeast instead of going to the elite Ivy League schools and stuff like that. Whenever the church actually steps up, that'd be a great sign that we are moving in the right direction. So it seems like we are progressing. It's just how quickly.
Every time somebody with a big personality like Trump, who actually captures people's imaginations, they immediately jump to, well, he's just like Mussolini, he's just like Hitler. This is, a strong executive will be a dictator and an evil one at that. But that's not what we need in this country. What we need is not a monarch. We don't need an emperor. We don't need a Napoleon or a Caesar Augustus. We certainly don't need an evil dictator like Stalin or Hitler or Mussolini, yada, yada, yada. What we need is a strong American president that captures the people's imagination, that tells the folks, here's the direction we're going, who puts together a almost X-Men-like team of weird guys and gals to go and see this through. Don't let the gloom and doom of, Trump has immunity and Trump's going to be able to get away with it. No. And don't get too caught up also in the whole, we need revenge, we need vengeance, we need vengeance, we need vengeance. No. Celebrate the victory that's happening before your eyes each and every day slowly. It won't always happen at once. There will be weeks on end sometimes where it feels like we're back in the dog days. But celebrate the change that's happening. It's happening.
Our success is our revenge.
Yes.
Our reclamation or reclaiming this country is our revenge.
I was almost doing the Ron Paul meme there. It's happening. It's happening.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what a fantastic time to be alive, man.
This part of the program brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing, and they're at Cole Plumbing. They can help you out with any and all of your plumbing problems. Could be a, everyday plumbing issue like a clogged drain, low water pressure, or maybe you have a big leak inside or outside your home. They can help you with that as well without tearing out a bunch of drywall or digging up a huge hole in your yard trying to find it. No, they have this unique technology there at Cole Plumbing that allows them to solve those big issues with minimal discomfort to you in your home. And of course, they could also help you upgrade to, say, a tankless water heater system, or maybe you want to install new accessories in the bathroom, or get a taller toilet or a nicer toilet, or new stuff in the kitchen. They can help you out with any of those plumbing needs. So y'all check them out today. You can always go online, even make an appointment online at coleplumbing.com, or give them a call at 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl,
call on Cole.
We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Adams Drugs has been committed to the health care of the people of the River region for over 62 years. We value the trust each customer has in our pharmacists, techs, and entire staff. If you have not experienced the difference of Adams Drugs and are not satisfied with the customer service that you get in the big box stores, we invite you to visit any of our locations and see how committed we are to your satisfaction. Adams Drugs offers a variety of services that you will not find in all pharmacies in the River region. Personalized compounding, area-wide delivery, wellness screenings, immunizations, medication consultations, and specialized packaging, just to name a few. Visit us at our website, adamsdrugs.net, and find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs has 12 convenient locations to serve you. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Adams Drugs is your local Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News.
At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
For many children, stability is something they have never experienced. At the Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches, we offer hope, healing, and a family to children in need. But behind every success story, our house parents are the heart of our ranches. We're looking for compassionate couples to join our mission. We provide housing, medical benefits, a 401k, paid vacation, and the chance to make a lasting difference. The Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches. Be the love, be the guidance, be the family they need. Visit alsyr.org.
Now you can add the power of digital advertising to the #1 reach of radio. Let Blue Water's 20 years of local advertising and marketing success show you how. Grow your business with a complete suite of digital solutions, combined with the reach of the most listened to radio group in the River region. Call us or go to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out how we can increase your return on investment. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
For more information, send an email to digital@BlueWaterBroadcasting.com.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Hi, everybody. We're enjoying this little oasis of niceness before the next winter assault arrives. Today, a good bit of sunshine and fairly comfortable for this time of the year with a high temperature up to about 60, mostly clear. Headed for another freeze tonight, low 32. Tomorrow's high in the lower 60s, still dry. In fact, I think we're dry through Friday evening with the risk of periods of rain holding off till late Friday night, first half of the day on Saturday before noon. Dry Saturday afternoon, mid-60s. Scattered showers Saturday night ahead of a cold front that brings in the first surge of colder air on Sunday with a high only up to about 47. Then much colder later in the week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Now, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And they're at Montgomery Men's Health. They're ready to help you fellas out, especially if you're experiencing the symptoms of low testosterone. And that can be no motivation, no energy, no drive, no sex drive to speak of, loss of muscle mass, unwanted weight gain. And it's not like you change your eating habits or your activity levels during the day. You're just feeling like you're walking through life through fog, trudging through mud, like physically and mentally you're just not there. Well, knowing whether you have low testosterone is huge in combating some of these issues. Happens to guys, of course, naturally. As you get older, you're producing less testosterone, but it's even happening to younger men in their 20s and 30s. So if you're experiencing these issues, well, just get by Montgomery Men's Health. The providers there will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And Montgomery Men's Health has low T treatments that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym. Brother. That's right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and you usually even notice an increased libido. And you can actually book the same day that you call. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today. Now, for this segment, let's talk a little energy. Here's the incoming Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, talking about, well, why he was picked and why he's so excited about this job.
And the reason I sit in front of you today is because President-elect Trump shares a passion for energy and an instinctual understanding that energy is not a sector of the economy. It's the sector of the economy that enables everything else we do. When I met him, he was just on fire about energy. He got how it impacts American quality of life, American economic strength, our geopolitical power, and what the possibilities are for the future, how we can make our children and grandchildren's lives so much better than ours. So I agree with you 100%. Energy is core, it's central. We want energy from all sources we can that can add to our pile of affordable, reliable, secure American energy.
Well, in the book I would highly recommend, it's a little older now, but it still makes the point, is Alex Epstein. Or Epstein. He's a philosopher of all things. Like, that's, I think, what his actual degree's in. But it allows him to think from first principles. And he has a book called The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. And the basic idea is you want energy that is dense, that is cheap. Why? Because dense, cheap energy allows you to create and innovate and provide. This is the whole idea, that it's to make man better, to make human beings better off. That should be the point of energy policy and energy production. If you can come up with denser, cheaper forms of energy than, say, natural gas or coal or oil, do it. We're all for it, man. Like, hey, maybe you can get small nuclear reactors and actually have the genius of nuclear energy. I don't know. It's like, I mean, it's almost like, am I off base or is...
No, I'm pretty certain we're close to like actual fusion or
right.
cold fusion. I mean, scientifically, I think they've determined that they can do it. It's just if it's practical or not.
But the standard of living for human beings, the quality of life for human beings should be the center of your energy policy, not the theoretical preservation of the earth. I think they're often, the tone of some of these conversations around climate change is almost anti-human.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I would place military over my own personal needs.
Right.
But outside of the military, ag, and after that, everyone else.
Well, here's Peter Robinson. This is a recent conversation he had on Uncommon Knowledge with Mark Andreessen, who's helping to lead a lot of things. How did Andreessen describe himself as an unpaid intern at Doge? But Peter Robinson sort of starts thinking about, wait, this whole energy thing, hasn't the military been doing this a while?
The first nuclear submarine was commissioned in 1955.
Right.
Which means that the United States of America, which has nuclear-powered vessels of all kinds, has been building and operating small nuclear decades.
Yeah, right.
And has the systems down so well that these things can be operated by 19-year-old kids who haven't even finished their high school degree. And the technology is owned by the American taxpayers.
Yes.
Why aren't we using this?
Where are they? So, as you know...
And by the way, the military is exempt from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
Yep.
Right, so
okay.
they just do it. And
so is there not a huge opportunity there?
And as you know, literally what they do is they take 19-year-old kids and they train them on how to be nuclear engineers.
Yes.
And then they send them out on 6-month whatever.
Underwater. Operating, yes.
And
there has, as far as I'm aware, there's never been a nuclear incident.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other amazing thing about that, by the way, it was pre-DEI.
Of course.
Like, just imagine how amazing it is, given everything we know today, that you could actually do this without the enormous benefits of DEI. Imagine what you could do with DEI.
Now you're being subversive.
No, but it's like, okay, if we want cheap, dense energy in order to make everything, doing anything cheaper and more, providing to more, like that's the idea. Like innovation, maybe you can innovate away from oil. But of course, because of what? Climate change in China, do you buy China's like, we're really going big on clean energy? China's really going deep into it?
No.
Well, here is Secretary, well, soon to be Treasury Secretary. He's the nominee to be it, Scott Bessent. Ron Wyden, who I like on civil liberties issues, but they're going back and forth on the whole climate change thing. And I think Wyden kind of, well, let's just listen in.
The more you reduce carbon, the bigger your tax savings. Now there is a big effort in the Trump administration to reverse it. I think that's going to be bad for the economy, but it is going to be damn good for China because we are in an arms race on clean energy with them. Are you going to be on the side of people who want to unravel this?
Senator Wyden, just so we can frame this for everyone in the room, China will build 100 new coal plants this year. There is not a clean energy race. There is an energy race. China will build 10 nuclear plants this year. That is not solar. I am in favor of more nuclear plants. And I would note that the IRA, as scored by the CBO, is wildly out of control in terms of spending on the upside.
Well, or you reduce carbon.
A lot of these guys, too, in these hearings have been more impressive than I suspected they might be.
I love the way he framed that. I'm looking at the chart right now. 2 nuclear reactors in the past 30 years.
Yeah, and that is because the Regulatory Commission, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which is designed essentially to just not let anybody build any sort of nuclear plant ever.
And I'm seeing it on the little bar chart here. I mean, 90s.
Right.
Done.
Right.
Rock and roll at 70s and 80s.
Most of the plants we still have are very old and outdated technologically, thus more dangerous. Like, if you can get small reactors with newer technology, it should be the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just seems like common sense, but we can't have that, I guess.
I just love the DA senator. I mean, the clean arms race with China. What planet is this dude on, man?
Right.
I mean, China's building entire cities just to inflate their GDP. They don't care about any of the construction, any of the debris, any of the runoff, any of that. So for him to frame it that way is just completely asinine.
Yeah, I think it's naivety.
It goes back to talking to that one little group of people who want to hear those things, man.
Yeah. No, and this is why you elect presidents, along with the folks who are representing your particular region. Got to hit a quick break here. First, though, this entire hour brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And there at Alabama Home Mortgage, well, Kim and Madeline are ready to help you. That's Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon. And they can help you out, especially if you're a veteran. If you are a veteran currently in a home and you're looking for maybe a refinance deal, don't just write off, I've already used my veterans benefits when it comes to mortgages. Talk to the pros there at Alabama Home Mortgage first before you just write that off, because they can get you an amazing deal. And the turnaround time is quite incredible. It's like 2 weeks. That's for a refinance, or maybe you're looking to buy a home. They can help you. Again, if you're a veteran, it's the best game in town. You earn these benefits through your service. You should take advantage of them with great local folks who run their own shop there at Alabama Home Mortgage. And of course, even those of you who aren't veterans, they have a great way of helping folks out, whether you're looking to buy a home for the first time. All starts with pre-approval, and they can walk with you from pre-approval all the way to closing day, or maybe you're looking to refinance yourself. Credit card debt hasn't gone away for a lot of folks. Maybe you want to get that off your back with a refinance deal, or it could be you're fine in terms of your debt structure, but you want to take some cash out to reinvest in your property, in your home, in your family. They can help you with whatever your goal is in a refinance deal. So that number, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can always apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies like Kim and Madeline. Prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. Just a quick break here, like 45-second break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hey guys, this is Todd Clark with River Region Contracting, your premier roofing contractor in Central Alabama. So remember the name, River Region Contracting, for all your roofing needs. We're not affiliated with any other roofing company in the River Region. We've been in the roofing business since 2005. We don't have to buy our leads, and we don't have to knock on doors when the storms come around. We have thousands of satisfied customers throughout Central Alabama. So call us at 334-356-8635. That's 334-356-8635.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The River Region's News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 WACV. News Talk 93.1.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Told you it'd be a quick break. Let's go right to the phones at 272-9228 and talk to Old Navy. Hey, Old Navy, how you doing?
Good. I'm a retired Navy nuke, so I just was going to update you.
Sure.
The program is very, very exclusive. Back in the 1950s, the Army tried to run a reactor called SL-1. If you look it up on YouTube, you see a terrible nuclear accident. So the Army lost the ability to ever run a nuclear power plant again. The Navy has been a lot more critical of the personnel. And they may be 19 years old, but they've had a year of training, and they learn what to do and what not to do.
Oh, absolutely. But I love the can-do attitude, though, that you can take an 18, 19-year-old, and of course you're judging them on, are they capable? But we can do this, and we've been doing it.
That's right. Yep. That's all I wanted to say.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Check that link I sent you. It's kind of exciting.
Oh, where'd you send it, on email?
Yeah.
One second.
All sectors, baby. Change is coming.
Last Energy nabs $40 million to realize vision of super small nuclear reactors. The startup wants to mass manufacture 20 milliwatt nuclear reactors that can be built and shipped within 24 hours. It's looking to get its first reactor online in Europe. Yep. Oh, no, and years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was talking to some guy. It's where I met Judge Napolitano down at St. Pete Beach, and there was a guy there, his specialty, he was a nuclear reactor engineer, and he was describing some of the new tech they have. It's remarkable stuff. So it's like, we can do this. And I think there has been an attitude of like, no, I don't feel safe, sort of going on out there. And it's just, like, no, we need to have that can-do attitude again. We need to have the ticker tape parades, not for everybody's little identity party, but for people's accomplishments. We need more well-known astronauts who are braving the stars as opposed to everybody getting obsessed with Kim Kardashian's huge ass. Excuse me, pardon me.
I love asking young people who invented the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, hardly anyone can tell you.
Starts as ARPANET, right?
Sir?
ARPANET. The military. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going with no, I can't say it. Who is it? Bernard Keys.
Well, and like anytime somebody also says, well, especially a libertarian type, which I still consider myself in that ballpark, but you grow up and you start to really assess certain things. You're like, well, the government can't plan. Generally, I agree. I agree with Milton Friedman types. I agree with all sorts of other libertarian economists that generally central planning will fail, not just because certain people are corrupt, because the central planner literally doesn't have the requisite knowledge to know where to put certain things, yada, yada, yada. But if the government empowers a particular team to essentially run something like a startup, what's the most successful engineering project in human history, probably? It's called the Manhattan Project. So stuff like that is possible. We can have a can-do attitude about stuff, but you got to get the bureaucrats out of the way. You have to have a clear mission and empower folks to see that mission through.
Go get the best and get out of the way.
Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, it's Woody. How you doing?
I'm all right, Woody. How you doing?
I thought Al Gore invented the internet.
He's claimed, as Mark Andreessen in that interview with Peter Robinson does say, yeah, I was a Democrat back then, and Gore did pass something in the 80s that helped foster it.
Man Bear Pig did that?
Yeah, he was one of the senators who pushed a particular bill that did help set up some of the backbone of it.
Okay. Hey, why did that, I'm not sure who it was, but did it, I can't remember his name, but they pushed Kash Patel for his whatever, to get FBI director. They pushed it to February.
I don't know. I'm not sure why they've pushed that to February. Maybe they're getting all backed up.
That sounds kind of fishy. All right. Enjoying the show, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that probably just got more to do with time constraint and trying to get as many through as they can. And that one's going to take up a little bit more.
I am wondering, I haven't looked it up, when RFK Jr. will be, what day that will be, because that will be true fireworks. I think that's going to be probably the most entertaining and interesting of all these hearings. 2729228. Again, if you haven't heard, and I'm going to more be listening for Greg Budell to talk about it. He's more the baseball guy. Baseball. But Bob Uecker passed away. 90. Good, amazing life. I remember more for the comedy side. Like, I always remember, when he passed and you start seeing images, he stole scenes in Major League. He frickin' stole, and all these folks are saying he's up there with Don Rickles, is one of the funniest human beings alive when you're just hanging out with the guy. And this is a classic clip of Norm Macdonald with David Letterman telling Bob Uecker stories, because Norm and Uecker became pretty good buds. Like, they both loved to laugh. And this is one that, well, a lot of folks are sharing today. Let's tune in together.
Remiss here if I didn't bring up something. People have been bothering me about this for months and months. People come on the show and they say, when the next time you see Norm Macdonald, he's got some tremendous stories about the great Bob Uecker. Now, do you have a story you can tell us about Bob Uecker? Voice of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, Bob Uecker is one of my best friends. He's a great man. I know Artie told a story when he was here, and Bob was not too thrilled with that. But
it's Artie Lang you're talking
Artie
about.
Lang, yeah. But Bob is a very, very funny man, and I often go in the booth with him, you know.
Oh, sure.
So one time we were there, and John Fogerty was in the audience. You know, a fortunate son, you know. So John Fogerty was there. So Bob Uecker is a very interesting guy. He thinks of everybody as the same. He doesn't think of people as stars or anything like that. He's a very down-to-earth guy. So he was talking to me, and he says, "Hey, man, you know that guy?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "That's John Fogerty, rock and roll singer." So I go, yeah, I know who it is. He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "But I played in a golf tournament with him." He goes, "You probably think of him as some that likes to bite the heads off of chickens, but this guy can."
That's exactly how I think of him.
This guy can get it out of the sand trap like nobody's business. So he goes, he's got a hell of a set of pipes on him. He goes, come the seventh inning stretch, I'll have him up here. He'll sing for you. So I said, no, Bob, don't do that. Like, don't have him come up and sing for me, please, you know. He goes, what's matter, man? Don't you even know who he is? You know? So I go, yes, Bob, I know who he is. He did Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, he did all that.
You did all that effing, yeah.
You know, you did Saturday Night Live one time, right?
Really?
Yeah.
And then also, big star on the Mr. Belvedere? I think was the older TV show. I think before both of our times. Man, we got to hit this top hour break, but may he rest in peace. There really is a amazing video, like 10 minutes long, MLB Network put together. It's an incredible tribute to the man, if y'all want to check it out. But rest in peace, Bob Uecker. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. American consumers wrapped up the year in a spending mood, shopping for all sorts of merchandise from furniture to clothing and eating out at restaurants. Retail sales rose 0.4% in December from the previous month. That's according to the Commerce Department. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky have signed a 100-year partnership agreement. It's part of a European show of support to continue helping Ukraine prevail in its nearly 3-year war with Russia. Governor Ron DeSantis says Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody will take Marco Rubio's seat in the U.S. Senate. And still no sign off on the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire deal. A last-minute dispute is holding up that agreement. This is SRN News.
Hi, everyone. If you or someone you know were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma within the past 20 years, listen up, because you could be entitled to significant cash compensation. For years, the weed killer Roundup was used in homes, farms, and gardens, and now studies have proven a direct link between Roundup and this deadly cancer. So if you or someone you know have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Call us and find out if you qualify for a cash settlement. 800-842-6060. That's 800-842-6060. Time to file a claim is running out, so don't delay. The call is free, the consultation is free, and you can find out if you qualify for a monetary award. Call 800-842-6060. That's 800-842-6060. 800-842-6060. Call now.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend. Must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. We've been enjoying some pretty decent weather, but we know that's going to change from what's on the horizon. But for tonight, mostly clear. Overnight low temperature down to about freezing. Then for tomorrow, high temperature in the lower 60s. Still dry Friday. Dry through Friday evening, with the risk of rain holding off till late Friday night and first half of the day on Saturday before noon. Then dry Saturday afternoon with a high in the mid-60s. More scattered showers on Saturday night. Then the first round of colder air funnels in on Sunday with a high only 47. Then another surge of much colder Arctic air coming in next week, and maybe some midweek mischief. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
You can make your ASE loan payment from your phone anytime, anywhere. It's quick and easy. YourASECreditUnion.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Lender.
1819 News.
The Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America scorecard was released this week. All of Alabama's Republican congressional delegates received an A-plus rating for their efforts to promote pro-life policies and to push against abortion. The lawmakers were rated for efforts in Congress in sponsoring and co-sponsoring pro-life bills, delivering pro-life amendments, as well as their floor speeches. Those Republican delegates from Alabama are both U.S. Senators Tommy Tuberville and Katie Britt, along with House Representatives Barry Moore, Gary Palmer, Dale Strong, Mike Rogers, and Robert Adderholt. Democrat Congresswoman Terry Sewell from Birmingham was given an F rating on this scorecard. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
Police in Tallahassee have arrested a man for issuing a threat of a school shooting against the city schools. 20-year-old Alan Nichols is now in police custody and charged with making a terroristic threat. All the city schools were alerted to the threat while the credibility of it was being investigated. And a straw poll conducted by the Dothan Chamber of Commerce has U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville coming out as the winner of the 2026 governor's race. The names that were put into that straw poll were Tuberville, Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, Agriculture Commissioner Rick Pate, and former U.S. Ambassador Lindy Blanchard. Of the 136 people that were polled, Tuberville received 49% of their vote. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson with the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. My last message was the report for 2024 real estate market in the River region. According to industry experts, they predict for 2025, we will have more inventory to choose from for our buyers, more buyers for sellers to show their houses to. Here are 5 tips for buyers or sellers in 2025. Number 1, sellers need to price their home at fair market value with the help of your realtor. Number 2, buyers need to be pre-qualified by a local lender prior to shopping for a house to save them time. Number 3, use a certified residential specialist or CRS to purchase or sell your home. Less than 2% of realtors nationwide have this designation. You need an expert now. 4, use someone with 48 years of real estate experience to help you with your largest investment. Number 5, quit waiting. Now's the time to buy or sell. Call Bo Goodson at 221-2883, the Goodson Group, or 551-0225.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years, rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. And just looking over where we haven't gotten to yet. I want to go back to this Scott Bessent guy, the hopefully incoming Treasury Secretary. I think he'll get through just easily. He's sort of laying out the vision that him and Trump have for the economic way of handling things. So let's listen into this together.
Today, I believe that President Trump has a generational opportunity to unleash a new economic golden age that will create more jobs, wealth, and prosperity for all Americans. My life's work in the private sector has given me a deep understanding of the economy and markets. And while this experience will be invaluable in crafting economic policy, I have long adhered to the principle that you should know what you don't know and lean on those who do. Having never served in government, I intend, if confirmed, to be in close contact with each of you in your offices and seek your counsel. The Treasury Department plays a critical role in protecting American national security. We must secure supply chains that are vulnerable to strategic competitors, and we must carefully deploy sanctions as part of a whole-of-government approach to address our national security requirements. And critically, we must ensure that the U.S. dollar remains the world's reserve currency. Today, Americans face significant challenges in an economy that has not created enough opportunities for working men and women. We have an affordability crisis, a housing shortage, and for the first time in my lifetime, parents feel as though the American dream is slipping away from their children. The federal government has a significant spending problem, driving deficits that have averaged an historically high 7% of GDP during the past 4 years. We must work to get our fiscal house in order and adjust federal domestic discretionary spending that has grown by an astonishing 40% over the past 4 years.
I think he's making a lot of good points, but about 2 minutes into this little opening statement that he's reading, all I got to say is nerd alert.
Paint dry.
Yeah, let's keep going though.
Productive investment that grows the economy must be prioritized over wasteful spending that drives inflation. As we begin 2025, Americans are barreling towards an economic crisis at year-end. If Congress fails to act, Americans will face the largest tax increase in history, a crushing $4 trillion tax hike. We must make permanent the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and implement new pro-growth policies to reduce the tax burden on American manufacturers, service workers, and seniors. I've already spoken with several members of the committee, as well as leaders of the House, about the best approach to achieving these important goals together. As President Trump has said, we will unleash the American economy by implementing pro-growth regulatory policies, reducing taxes, and unleashing American energy production. The breadth and depth of our capital markets, along with predictable pro-growth tax policy and smart, updated regulation will continue to make America the most popular destination in the world for starting, growing, and taking public a business.
All right. Yeah, all stuff I agree with, but dadgum, you're right. Like paint drying. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. Now, did you get a chance to see this rocket launch? This Blue Origin, Glenn?
I have not.
Well, here we go. It's got some dramatic music. I just always love checking out these things. It's very cool that we now have a renewed space race. I think when you have goals that are beyond just solving one miserable problem after the other, when you actually literally shoot for the stars, you'll discover all sorts of things that you didn't even anticipate.
And it's kind of cool that it's privatized, man. It's not even NASA messing up.
I know. Well, and NASA wants Blue Origin to get on top because right now Musk and team's the only game in town, and NASA and the Pentagon and all sorts of folks have contracts with Blue Origin. And because of these delays, they've been like, oh.
Don't we still have folks floating around?
I don't know. I don't know if they've been rescued just yet. But here is the launch. This is done early in the morning, wee hours of the morning, Cape Canaveral. Apparently the booster is reusable. Mission Command very happy there. So cool. That's so cool.
It's one of the most unnatural things in existence, but it's so cool, man. To want to leave this rock is, beyond belief. But we've been looking up at the stars for millennia, and to see this is really, really cool.
This new rocket is called the New Glenn, launched for the first time ever this morning, January 16th, rising off a pad at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station here at Florida's Space Coast at 2:03 a.m. Eastern Time. About 12 and a half minutes later, the rocket's upper stage reached orbit. The main goal of today's test flight, which the company called NG-1. We got to orbit safely, Arian Cornell, Vice President of In-Space Systems at Blue Origin, said in a company launch webcast, "Congratulations, everybody. What a day." Blue Origin also tried to land New Glenn's reusable first stage on a ship in the Atlantic Ocean, which is nicknamed Jacqueline after company founder Jeff Bezos' mother. The booster... Hey, Mom, I named a reusable booster rocket after you.
But it's a big ship that's...
Wait.
The big barge?
Yeah, actually, they need to improve that sentence. I don't know if it's referring to the first stage of the rocket or... Maybe the ship is named after his mom. I think it's a ship. You're right.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's always a female name on a ship, right?
And it's probably big and slow. And
knows how to catch things.
Mm.
The booster managed to fire up 3 of its engines in a re-entry burn as planned, but it didn't stick the landing. Oh, sorry, Mom. A successful landing would have been something of a surprise. The company had stressed repeatedly in the lead up to the launch that this was a secondary goal and unlikely to be achieved by NG-1. Like many rockets, the 320-foot tall New Glenn took a long road to the launch pad. Its first flight was initially projected to take place in 2020, but development of the rocket's powerful BE-4 first-stage engine slowed the timeline. There were a few more delays in the home stretch. Today's liftoff was originally planned for January 10th, but Blue Origin pushed it back 72 hours due to rough seas in the projected landing area for the booster. A launch attempted on January 13th was scrubbed due to ice buildup in one of the rocket's power units, and Blue Origin then pushed the next try back to this morning. New Glenn's reusable first stage could help it compete with SpaceX's venerable Falcon 9, the world's first orbital-class reusable rocket. Blue Origin aims to launch each New Glenn booster at least 25 times and already has customers ranging from NASA, various U.S. government agencies, AST Space Mobile, and telecommunications companies. New Glenn has also been tapped to help launch Amazon's Project Cooper or something like that. Kuipr. I don't even know how to say that. Broadband internet satellites. Which could become a competitor to SpaceX's Starlink mega constellation. Amazon already has a license to launch over 3,000 of these satellites. Both Blue Origin and Amazon were founded by Bezos, who has flown to suborbital space aboard the company's smaller New Shepard space tourism rocket. New Glenn is capable of carrying 50 tons of payload to low Earth orbit. SpaceX's Falcon Heavy rocket, which also features reusable first-stage boosters, can lift around 70 tons, so mine's bigger than yours. If it all goes to plan, NG-1 will help certify the rocket for the U.S. Space Force's National Security Space Launch Program, NSSL, which pairs U.S. military and intelligence spacecraft with commercial launch providers. NSSL launches also include GPS, communication, and weather satellites to provide data and services to the U.S. government. So, very cool.
Dude,
very cool.
We're expected to have 3 times as many satellites in orbit by 2030 as we have right now.
Oh, absolutely.
That's wild.
272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. It's amazing when you look at what people can do. And you might say, well, how can you not control the Washington Post, Jeff? I'll just say managing a bunch of liberal eggheads can be a lot more difficult than sending a rocket to low Earth orbit. I've never tried to do either, but that's my suspicion.
We'd probably have more success being rocket scientists, to be honest with you.
That's my suspicion. But, back here on Earth, when you see things like that amazing accomplishment, you look at the wildfires in California, if they're in fact wild at all, and you got to wonder, how did this even occur? We can do amazing things, and y'all have plenty of wealth. You have plenty of smart people in California. What the heck are y'all doing?
30 years of neglect, man.
This is what I'm about to play is 21 days before the Palisades fire broke out. Los Angeles fire personnel jammed into an LA Fire Commission meeting with a dire warning about the consequences of Karen Bass's budget cuts. They say, in part, and I'll play the clip in a second, the residents of Los Angeles are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice and someone will die. This was said 21 days ago at an LA Fire Commission meeting. Let's listen in.
If we cut one position, if we close one station, if we close one resource, the residents of Los Angeles are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice and someone will die.
Just last month, fire personnel packed an LA Fire Commission meeting, begging the city to rethink the budget.
These cuts came at exactly the wrong time, with calls for services at an all-time high and our firefighters at their breaking point.
We are straining our department's resources beyond the brink, and we cannot continue on this path.
City Councilwoman Tracy Park was there to.
Yeah.
Why has no one connected the dots on where that money got diverted to at this point? I want to know who got paid off or what project got landed.
Oh, yeah.
$18 million, even in LA, that's a pretty good chunk of money.
Yeah. Well, and it just shows, you got a lot of money. You got plenty of people who are telling you, don't do this. And it's just the lack of leadership out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely on the mayor. Gavin Newsom's trying to, say, no, it's all local leadership. Come on, man.
I think I saw earlier about a 80 or 100 million cut out of his budget.
Yeah. Come on, man. Don't be, pushing this off foisting it onto the locals alone. You've got a lot that you need to answer for. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Sweet Creek Farm Market. And there at Sweet Creek, Reed Ingram is ready to help you out. You got to get by there. See Reed Ingram at Sweet Creek, just 2 miles south of Taylor Road on Highway 231. Stop by their award-winning cafe for lunch, then shop their fresh produce, their baked goods, all the little gifts and fun things they have there. In particular, those baked goods, like the layer cake is some of my favorite, pies and big old cookies, and they just do amazing things there. And of course, they have that fresh stuff coming in all the time. That's why you need to go to their Facebook page, like Sweet Creek on Facebook. You can see the latest product they're bringing in, as well as see all sorts of great events they often put on there at Sweet Creek Farm Market. So be sure to like them on Facebook. And so whether you're looking for a great lunch, you're looking to get some grocery shopping done, or you're just looking for a place you can get a warm cup of coffee while the kids play around, chase the chickens or something, I don't know. They have little like chickens running around all around the property. It's adorable.
I just see Rocky and Mitt, man.
And often they have live music out there too on many days. Like, it's really an incredible atmosphere. So you're going to get some tasty treats. You're going to see some great folks that I know you'll love. It's a wonderful establishment that Reed Ingram has put together. So again, go find Reed Ingram there at Sweet Creek Farm Market, and be sure to tell him that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. Gonna hit a quick break. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Sarah, Happy New Year. You look amazing. How are things with you and Mark?
Lisa, I can't thank you enough for telling me about Montgomery Men's Health. We've totally rediscovered each other. Mark's working out. Oh, and we're doing more as a family than laying around watching TV.
I told you, they're incredible. My husband and I had the same experience. It's like having that spark all over again, isn't it?
Exactly. It's more than the physical. It's the connection, the energy. It's the best gift we could have given ourselves.
This new year, make the resolution that changes it all. Montgomery Men's Health brings you proven options for ED, low testosterone, and enhancement. Reignite your drive, rebuild your confidence, and show up in the moments that matter most.
Here's to more love and more joy in the year ahead.
Cheers to that.
Book your appointment today at MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com or dial 334-440-3663. That's MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com or dial 334-440-3663. Montgomery Men's Health, making it happen.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather. Well, hi, everybody. We've been enjoying some pretty decent weather, but we know that's going to change from what's on the horizon. But for tonight, mostly clear. Overnight low temperature down to about freezing. Then for tomorrow, high temperature in the lower 60s. Still dry Friday. Dry through Friday evening with the risk of rain holding off till late Friday night. The first half of the day on Saturday before noon. Then dry Saturday afternoon with a high in the mid-60s. More scattered showers on Saturday night. Then the first round of colder air funnels in on Sunday with a high only 47. Then another surge of much colder Arctic air coming in next week. And maybe some midweek mischief. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
Live local talk, the River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. Now, one thing that's happened here in state politics is, well, the conversation is following the national trend. So you see a lot of folks coming out and wanting an Alabama Doge. I think we talked to Stephanie Holden Smith, who's president of, or whatever the title is, I think president of Alabama Policy Institute. And they've set up their own little Alabama Doge. And don't you love how, I didn't mean that as a put down your little thing. No, like you can give tips, like whether you're a state employee or anybody, ideas about what you've seen. And they kind of lay out, well, the government in Alabama continues to grow in terms of its revenues. But to give everybody their due, a guy who I've never questioned his intelligence, nor honestly his character. I think he's a very competent manager. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I really do. I don't know the man, though. State Senator Arthur Orr. I've heard a lot about him. I've never had a conversation with him. But Alabama working for efficient and lean state government. That is the headline at 1819news.com. It's an op-ed by State Senator Arthur Orr. So I thought, Byron, you and I could just read through this slowly and react. So
you read, I'll react.
Senator Arthur Orr writes, the recent national conversation around a federal Doge, I don't know if you'd say it that way, the Department of Government Efficiency, has sparked important conversations about streamlining government and reducing waste.
Conversations are good.
So far, we're good. The concept has merit, writes Arthur Orr, particularly for the federal government, which has tens of trillions of dollars in operating debt and many times more in long-term liabilities. But Alabamians need to know, says Arthur Orr, that we always balance our budgets. Well, we constitutionally have to do that, right? Like it's a requirement?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. And have relatively low short and long-term debt loads. Further, we already have a newly established organization to create more efficiencies in our state government and have already taken significant strides in this direction. I mean, so far so good. They're already ahead of the curve. In 2019, writes Arthur Orr, we created the Alabama Commission on the Evaluation of Services. That's ACES.
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 Huh.
All coming up aces. The Alabama Commission on the Evaluation of Services, an office dedicated to improving both the effectiveness and efficiency of state government. Governor Kay Ivey was a key early supporter and desired to make the effort a joint partnership between the executive and legislative branches. While maintaining a small staff, you will be pleased to know, writes Arthur Orr, that there have been some early success.
What in the bureaucracy is he talking about?
There have been some early successes, Byron.
Do we know those?
I think he's going to give some examples.
Okay, I'll hold.
Though slowed by the COVID pandemic, the office identified inefficiencies with the delivery of correctional education in our state, which led to streamlining the delivery of those services. Prisoner education and workforce training are tremendously important to reduce recidivism rates and give released individuals a pathway to leading a productive life outside of crime. So they've streamlined
some material.
Prisoner education.
What kind of
identified
education?
Inefficiencies with the delivery of correctional education in our state. So what I'm looking for is like how much did that save?
Well,
what's the price? I'm looking in the piece. I'm looking for how much did finding that inefficiency and correcting it, how much money did that save?
Has recidivism gone down over those few years?
It's also a good question. And he's right, though, about this is a good way to make sure folks don't return to a life of crime.
I hope.
Arthur Orr, what?
Jesus Christ is free.
I was about to say, did I just cut the man off when he's making a point about Jesus? I'm sorry about that. And it's also true.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Arthur Orr continues, the office, and this is, of course, the Alabama Commission on the Evaluation of Services. This year, ACES identified the shortcomings of a state-funded program for K through 12 students. The Alabama State Department of Education was able to use this information to throttle back the expansion of this program and refocus efforts on improving efficiencies.
Throttle back.
So I'm looking for what was the program, and if we're talking about saving money through finding inefficiencies and correcting them, how much money did that save? I don't see a price tag here.
Mm-mm.
As with football, Arthur Orr continues, blocking and tackling unfortunately go ignored.
Not around here, buddy.
And it also depends on that block and on that tackle. Because sometimes that blocking and tackling is glorious, more glorious than anything a wide receiver or quarterback could ever do.
Got to watch your hands, too.
But I get his point.
Might get called for holding.
But he continues, again, he says, and this is State Senator Arthur Orr's op-ed that just dropped at 1819news.com. As with football, blocking and tackling unfortunately go ignored. But by getting deeply into the programs, their cost and delivery, our ACES team is moving the needle of improved outcomes behind the scenes. The legislative and executive branches are relying on the skill and expertise of this office to advise on evaluations, outcomes, and reporting requirements. ACES recently examined the efficiency of our 2 state employee insurance boards and presented the findings to a joint study commission. While it is too early to predict wholesale changes, important findings were discovered. The executive and legislative branches must work together to deliver the best, most efficient government to the people of Alabama, Arthur Orr writes. Rather than resort to gotcha moments, seeking headlines, we continue to use data-driven analysis, performance metrics, and continuous improvement methodologies to identify areas for improvement. Further active collaboration with agency heads and policymakers helps with the implementation of innovative solutions and fosters a culture of efficiency and accountability. Such efforts save taxpayers money. So how much money? Like, I get that it was slowed down during COVID, like everything else. We can blame COVID on every sin and problem, pathology in society under the sun. But if this is data-driven, like, when we saw the shortcomings of a state-funded K-12 program, what was the program and how much money did solving that inefficiency save the state and the taxpayer? When you found problems in delivering, inefficiencies in delivering prisoner education, how much money did that save? In fact, Doge, very quickly created like a to-the-moon stat of we're going to cut $2 trillion. Does ACES have a goal of how much they want to cut?
I hope they can at least find enough to cut to pay for the agency.
That's a good point. So he's saying, Arthur Orr is saying, such efforts save taxpayers money. I don't necessarily deny it, but I would like to know if, since this has been going on since 2019, how much money has ACES saved the state of Alabama and the taxpayer? Arthur Orr finishes saying, in the long run, politicians, unfortunately, often try to score political points, Byron.
Huh?
With grandstanding, stunts, and chicanery.
And
That's a good word.
Sometimes a well-placed op-ed.
At the expense of others in government. By focusing on the task at hand of improving government, the governor and legislature are slowly making positive changes through the ACES concept. I think, what would be the key word in that sentence? Let me read it again. By focusing on the task at hand of improving government, the governor and legislature are slowly making positive changes through the ACES concept. I think the key word there is slowly.
It is a small staff, so I imagine it can't do too much heavy lifting.
While the development of a federal Doge will hopefully be able to create tremendous savings in our bloated federal budget, it's crucial to acknowledge the progress already made within our state. Then what's the price tag? How much have ACES cut? I'm looking for a number. We will continue to build on the early successes of our Alabama Doge of saving taxpayer money and improving our government efficiencies to better serve the needs of all our Alabama citizens. Again, this is State Senator Arthur Orr's op-ed. Just came out at 1819news.com if you want to read it yourself. And if you want to look it over, I don't see any, dollar figures.
I'm on the website, and I'm not seeing any links.
Like on the ACES website.
Yeah. I mean, they've got some white papers and some studies.
And for folks who don't know what ACES is, that's the Alabama Commission on the Evaluation of Services. And you're on that site right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not seeing any dollar figure of how much has actually been cut.
I haven't found it yet.
Interesting. That's kind of disappointing, actually. Or is it par for the course here in this state?
I mean, wouldn't you think it would be right on the masthead, recent publications?
Yeah.
The press
no, I'm not
release?
saying they haven't actually found savings.
No,
I'm just saying I would think they would lead with that.
I'm
If
saying
that's
the same thing. You would think that the entity that's going to save money would report how much money is saved.
Because there's nothing more that state agencies and government loves than to report on facts and figures of all the things we've done.
Man, and the website's tricky too because they have accomplishment in a different color, so it looks like a hyperlink. But when you go to click on it,
there's no URL to their accomplishments.
Not on that one. Mm-mm. Fun stuff. They definitely saved on the website design. I can tell you.
Oh,
that.
yeah? Just kind of a Drudge Report, old school thing?
mm-mm.
No, even a more old school than that?
You and I put this together.
I don't even know how to build a website.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to badmouth Senator Orr, but this is weak.
At least they're trying, man.
But it's weak.
Okay.
Just more the same. Now, if ACES has cut all sorts of money and saved taxpayers money, cool, man. But I would like to know, if we're so data-driven and looking to save the taxpayer money, why not lead with how much you've saved the taxpayer? Guess we'll have to wait for that for another day. 272-9228 if you want to get on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. And again, they are a full-service jewelry shop there at Dillon Rings. They can help you with repairs. It could be your favorite necklace, your favorite bracelet, or your ring, It's just like a gem came loose or the band broke and it's just, it's heartbreaking. Well, don't cry. Don't cry. Just go by Dillon Rings. Josh can fix it. He does amazing repair work. He can also do spa treatment, so it might be a piece of jewelry you've been wearing for 10, 20 years. You'll love it, but it doesn't shine and shimmer like it once did. Well, give Josh a little bit of time. Josh and Leslie there can make that thing shimmer and shine like it's brand new again. They can also do custom design work or combine two pieces of jewelry, get very creative, or it could be you had a dream. Well, Josh Ryder is so good, he'll make it a reality. They also do appraisals, not to mention the amazing jewelry items they have in stock there at 119 Brown Springs Road. From high-end jewelry items to, everyday jewelry that looks fantastic.
Can we go back for just a second?
1 second.
Have you been on the website?
On the ACES website?
Yeah.
1 second.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's right there going for it. But at Dillon Rings, they can help you out. Get by, again, 119 Brown Springs Road. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie Ryder that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you. Don't interrupt me during a spot.
Sorry.
I'm not even that mad at you because you seem so like I have to say this.
Dylan, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
How many reports and studies and findings do you think an agency would contribute a year?
Say that again.
How much work do you think they'd do over the course of a year?
At ACES?
Yes.
Well, I think if that's your job, you do it. You're there at least 300 days. Let's give them 65 days off.
I'm seeing one white paper, one study, and one program evaluation per year.
What?
I'm seeing one program evaluation, one white paper, and one study a year. Now,
that's all, and that's from their website.
Yeah, maybe they actually do more, but they're not putting more up on the website.
Well, and again, if these programs are being, give us a price tag. How much have you actually saved? What's your goal and how much you want to save with this commission that then reports to other commissions, that then reports to the legislature and the governor?
I wonder how they pick which program they want to evaluate as well.
That's a good question. Hey, let's go to line one. You're on the air. Who's this?
Professor Bob P. DeMarcus over here at Contrarian University.
Yeah.
I am an acquaintance of Poison Ivy.
Yes.
And yes, well, we have a very, very liberal college over here underneath the bus stop between the racetrack and Auburn University. And I was going to say about the ACES, it ain't that we need the ACES. We got the ever-increasing gas tax that's going to give us money. What we need is what you was talking about a couple of weeks ago, and that dank Department Against Nepotism and Cronyism. And over here at the school, I wanted to tie in SB 129. You know what I'm talking about, Joey?
Yeah, keep going.
Well, we're real liberal, so we wanted to, span out there, and we had 3 of the legislators' kids. We gave them scholarships to come over here to the liberal university, and they want to be a part of Dank, and we was going to take them over with the bus over here to the State House when they was going to be talking about and having arguments about gambling, so they could see nepotism and cronyism firsthand. Well, it turns out that nepotism and cronyism, if we took them over there, that would be systemic historical reoccurrences there, and we can't be provided with any money to help these conservative students out. Yeah, I just think it needs to be looked at deeply so we can help out the minority over here, which is, the wholesome students. They're the wholesome household alumni, legacy elite, supplanted. They're the whales. We need to save the whales. So maybe you can talk to your fella coming tomorrow, Craig Monger, that wrote the article, see if he can't help us out. Y'all have a nice day.
Appreciate it, Professor. Dank.
Stank.
272-9228. Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this? Hello, Hey, Pat.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Councilwoman Johnson. I'm good. I wanted to call and put some information out on the air while you all were live.
Sure, you're on there now. Go ahead.
All right, great. I am having a town hall on January 25th from 9 a.m. to noon at Resurrection Catholic Missions at the school auditorium. It's open to the public, but it'll be, of course, the information is District 3 driven. So that's the downtown area, HU, and North Montgomery. But we'll be giving some updates on what's coming 2025, what we've done in 2024, just to update the community. Because a lot of times we travel from home to work or to the store, but we don't know what's really going on around us. So I thought it was a good time to do that here in January at the top of the year. So I'm opening up for the community to come out and just see what's happening in Montgomery, and specifically north and downtown Montgomery.
Again, folks, this is Marcia Johnson. She's a city council member, and the town hall will be January the 25th from 9 a.m. to noon, and it'll be Resurrection Catholic Mission School, and that's 2815 Forbes Drive. So get there early, folks, and be informed, be involved in the community. You doing all right, Marcia?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Yeah. Make sure you let them know breakfast will be served. There's some food in there.
That's what I wanted.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
See, that's how you get folks in there. It's like, I'm hungry, and then I guess I'll listen.
She's successful.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. I hope you all are doing well, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you ever do have time, love to have you in the studio, Marcia.
Oh, I would love to. Okay, I'll put that on my calendar. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, good to hear from Marcia Johnson. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. How about this? Let's hit a break here. Have you found any price tags, anything that's...
I have actually found a link that leads me to a report, so I can at least look at that.
Read the report.
Yes.
Can you read fast enough to where, because we got a break, but where they give an actual, here's the prison education program and the inefficiencies involved, and if we remove these, the program will run better and we'll save a certain amount of money.
It's not exactly laid out like that.
How's it laid out? Oh, key findings?
Mm-hmm. We've avoided between 7.9 and 10 million in voluntary turnover costs.
Okay.
That's a takeaway.
All right, there's a price tag.
DOC correctional officers' turnover rates are better than other states. Consistently higher than other states as well. Compensation changes have not improved hiring during the review period.
So the high ball is 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
That was saved correcting the correctional education program.
The number of people who work in the state correctional system has declined by 12%. We found that out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
$10 million ain't a lot of money. I mean, it'd be a lot if they want to give that to me. I don't know if I'll be educating prisoners, but I could use $10 million.
Well, it's between 7.9 and 10.
Yeah, but I'm just being charitable and giving them, let's call it $20 million. Break, man. How big's the education budget with supplementals? Like 12 billion?
Well, when we combine them, we'll be able to change that number.
See, I don't think folks are going to be too receptive to that anytime soon over there on Goat Hill.
Nah, probably not.
Interesting. Well, we'll keep searching for how much money this ACES program has actually saved the taxpayers here in Alabama, but we got to hit this break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment.
Well, the baby liked it.
Are you happy with your IT support company? Do they resolve your company's computer issues quickly, or do they leave you down and frustrated? You need your computers working and problems resolved quickly and permanently. GTI is different. GTI has a high standard of affordably supporting and protecting businesses like yours since 1999. Call them now at 819-4650, 819-4650, or visit gtinow.com.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop Wellness Center in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center. We've used Blue Water Broadcasting for years, and we attribute our results to what they do for us. If you want results with your advertising, call Blue Water.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Well, I was just trying to get in touch with Ray Bowles, but I couldn't. He must be busy right now. But that's always a good thing for our sponsors. I like it when they're busy.
He's always busy, man.
He's always working. Always on the road.
Wrapped up, as they say.
Indeed. But at Prattville Carpet, they will come to you. They will drive that extra mile to come to you, do a free in-home measurement. So think about it. You want new living room floors, or you want new carpet in the bathroom, or you want to resurface your kitchen countertops and the backsplash, or you want to get that, well, bathroom floor redone and make it beautiful. Well, they have not only a great skilled professional team there at Prattville Carpet, who are also just great guys, a lot of fun, down-to-earth guys, easy to work with. but they can get to you, measure real quick, and once you pick out what product you want, could be traditional hardwood, could be ceramic tile, could be luxury vinyl plank or laminate products, or the epoxy they're now doing. You could pick out what you want. They'll know exactly how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. They'll get the job done. They really do great work there at Prattville Carpet. So call them up today for any of your resurfacing needs at 285-8117. That's 285-8117. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you. And as also, before I forget, Ray reminded us yesterday that, say you're constructing, maybe you're building a home here in the new year. Give Prattville Carpet a call when it comes to some of the resurfacing products. They love to help out from the ground level up. Again, that's Prattville Carpet, and tell them that Joey, that guy on the radio, sent you. So what have we learned so far today? We're looking at the website that's supposed to be the new Alabama Doge. You know, Doge is fun. Doge is like, we found this, that, and the other. We're aiming to cut a whole bunch. And you go to this, and there's not much on here. There's a few reports.
Mm-hmm.
Like a few. Like correctional officer recruitment and retention efforts. It's a study. Digital Health Solutions for Public Health Challenges, a white paper published in November of last year. Helping Families Initiative, a program evaluation done in March of last year. Wait. In 2024, they only released 3 reports, one a program evaluation, another a study, and another a white paper?
Yeah, check 23 and then 22 and then 21.
In 23, there's one in October, one in July, one in March, one in September. Or wait, no. Just 3 in 2023. What is it, about 3 a year?
Mm-hmm. That's what it said. You thought I was making that up?
Yes!
You thought I was making up how the website design?
The heck is this, man? Don't be saying like, oh, well, all these folks who want Alabama Doge, they're just full of chicanery. What the heck is this? This is not Doge.
So
this is classic Alabama.
So wait, out of 5 employees, how many do you think would actually be research, data, doing the heavy lifting versus management? How many directors do you need for 5 employees?
5?
Well, we got 2.
Okay. So it's a commission here, the Alabama Commission of Evaluation Services, created for the purpose of advising the legislature and the governor regarding the evaluation of services, which may include evidence-based policymaking within the state. The commission members include gubernatorial appointments. Let's start there. Liz Fillmore, Glenda Allred, Dorian Carlton, Norris Green, Kathy Sawyer, Dave White, Bill Poole. Ex officio Bill Poole. And then on the legislative side, Senator Arthur Orr is the chair, Liz Fulmer being the vice chair from the governor's side, Greg Albritton, how's it shaking, Greg? Linda Coleman Madison, Representative Jeremy Gray, Representative Chris Sells. I know that guy.
I know Chris.
Yeah, I like Chris. And I'm not bad-mouthing any of y'all in particular. I'm more going there's how many people on staff? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With all those other commissioners appointed from the legislature and the governor's office.
The part that I just love is out of the 5 employees, we got a director and then an assistant director for 5 people. 2 of which are directors. Come on now.
If you're going to call this Alabama Doge, I want to know how much y'all have actually cut. And if y'all have been doing 3 reports a year, what the heck is that? I might have figured out what I want to write about next week. I guess it'll be written off as a gotcha. Goodness gracious. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey, it's Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Y'all just overestimate the fine quality of lawmakers and spenders that we have in this state. I mean, you thought they were going to uncover this huge mass of unfavorable spending?
Well, that's what they told us.
Well, I didn't know that they were going to drop in articles, touting it and then just be this.
Yeah, they told us that all these folks are screaming for an Alabama Doge. We already got one, and so we went and looked at it, and it's very disappointing.
Well, if you were a wolf, would you pick a sheepdog to look over the sheep that you wanted to steal?
Oh, no, not at all.
So why would the government put somebody in place that was going to actually find and report to the people the wrongdoing, the misspending, the stupid stuff?
Goodness gracious.
I mean, this almost seems like a joke.
Yeah, I know. It's like a funny joke.
Yeah, like, gotcha.
So the people that are on staff, does it say how much they're paid?
No.
Oh, come on now.
Now you're expecting too much, Bill.
That was a rhetorical question.
Okay, fair enough.
He knew that. Good one, Bill.
And these commissioners that are over this group, are they paid extra for doing their work?
I don't know about that.
So, yeah. Anytime something like this comes up, I have to snicker because, they wouldn't let an independent group do this. So you think they're going to name somebody that's actually going to go out and find some?
Yeah, come on, man.
If they're not independent from the government, they're as on the take as the government.
Well, I got to run, Bill. I'm out of time. Appreciate it, man.
Y'all have a great day.
You too.
I really am out of time.
Well, I really got to go, so.
Yeah. Happy hour with Greg and Pamela. They're next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that a last-minute dispute with Hamas was holding up Israeli approval of a long-awaited ceasefire. It would pause the fighting in the Gaza Strip and release dozens of